All right. Greetings again, everyone. This is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates. We had a power outage in the whole building, and I was kind of panicking. I was like, "Oh my God, I hope I don't lose that live." I didn't know if it was gonna process the recording without me actually going through the process of being able to push end streaming, so on and so forth. But it saved, so that's great. But yeah, we had a power outage. So we were talking. This is the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence Saturday Temple service. I know it got real deep. I know when I get excited, especially when epiphanies are coming, I can descend really quickly into a wormhole. You understand? But these moments are necessary for me. So much has happened in the last week. So much has been happening since we kicked the doors in on this year, which I knew that was going to be the case. But I find that there are certain things that happen when I'm in my space alone. There are certain epiphanies that I experience and can arrive to, certain understandings that I can arrive at when I am alone. But it is different when I am engaged. You understand? So you guys, when you are here, when you are present, when you are actively participating, just so you know, even if I am not reading your comments aloud, I am seeing your comments, and it's still an engagement. They are helping me to see and understand in real time things and how to articulate them. That's why I don't have no problem stopping and writing down a completed thought so I don't forget it. As it's coming through so fast, I don't want to forget it, right? I'm saying that before I get started because it was getting deep in here. It was getting a necessary level of deep. And but that's why I'm always checking in. When I'm checking in and I am asking, do you understand me? Do you understand what I am saying? I am not asking that question rhetorically. I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like when we say, no, I'm saying, it's like, I assume you already know what I'm saying and I'm checking in. You feel me? When I ask you, do you understand me? And I slow down, do you understand me? Are you following? It is because I want you to understand. I don't want you to listen superficially and it sound good in the instant. I want you to understand. I want you to see. I want you to hear. And I say, do you understand? It means I want feedback. Yes, I understand. No, I don't understand. Can you say that again? Can you make that a little clearer? That's the kind of feedback that I am expecting when I ask you the question, do you understand? It is not going to do any of us any good. If I teach in a way that I'm the only one that understand what the fuck I'm talking about, and I am not striving to help raise your consciousness to a level where you are clear about what it is I am communicating, and now it is something that you can use and apply. You understand what I'm saying? So I wanted to clarify that because what just happened was really deep. What just happened was deep and it was connected. That's why I kept circling back and asking me, do you understand why I am making these analogies across different fields of understanding? Because everybody who talks to me knows even though I may journey very far, seemingly off topic, there is a reason that the far off thing has occurred, and eventually I am going to circle back its connection to the point. If you can just walk with me, okay? Because when I got on the call and I was talking about this experience that we had in the book club 2 nights ago, and how preceding that experience, I was like, damn, I've been saying all these years, no, we can't wait until we win to rename everything. We have to do it now. And even in sitting in this moment, I am still self-correcting. My understanding is still deepening. As all these years I've been saying, man, once we take this shit, we're going to have to rename everything. These crackers have named everything after they self. You feel me? Once we win, we're going to have to rename everything. And even before I got off the call, I was like, yes, we're going to have to rename everything now. We're going to have to rename everything now. And even in this moment, I am saying that's not deep enough. Not only do we have to rename everything now, the renaming of everything now will ensure the win. The act of renaming everything now, rewriting everything now, re-knowing everything now, re-understanding everything now through our worldview, through our lens, through our ancestry, through our cellular memory, through our DNA will ensure the win. Not the other way around. Once we win, we're going to have to rename everything. No. Once what did Mary Daly say in the Great and Beyond the Father God the other day? She said the primary task of women. What did she say? The primary task of women is having the courage of confrontation or something to that effect. The courage of confrontation. The courage of confrontation. What did she say? Because I was like, I need to put that shit on a shirt. What did she say? Where that quote at? Because that shit is going to be on. Remember, I paused and I was like, yo, that's got to be on the shirt, somebody. Run with it. Just give me the credit. Where that shit at? Where is that? Because that was... She's like, we're going to have to face this bitch. Yes. So those of you who are just coming on, yeah, there was a power outage. So I guess it was a necessary intervention because I was up in here like, why my cats acting so rebellious? I fed them, I watered them, I cleaned they little litter box before I got up on here. Like, why they cutting the clown? And it's because I was on here for 3.5 goddamn hours, and he was like, bitch, we want to eat again. Like, okay, because they was literally pinging off the walls up in this bitch. I was like, god damn. Yeah, they're like, bitch, we want to eat. And you talking too much. You need to take a break. So I guess that was their little spiritual intervention when the damn power went out, so they could so I could take enough time. And it took just enough time for me to grab myself something to eat, feed them, water them, clean up their litter box again. And somebody knocked on the door. I was like, the power's back. And I was like, all right. Man, I should have marked that better. Dang. Anyway, I'll find it next time. But anyway, to get back to that, I used to say, right? I used to say, once we take this shit, we're going to have to rename everything. Yesterday, I was like, no, we need to rename everything now. We need to do the renaming now, the rewriting now, the remembering now, right? And even that was short-sighted. Renaming everything now will ensure the win. It's part of the work to ensure the win. You understand? And so I covered a lot, but it was still all connected to this process of the necessity of renaming everything that I started out by saying, whether it's about the planets, whether it's about the plants, whether it's about our history, whether it's about our body parts, right? We have to create a process. Oh, and then all those things that have been named after the white boy accredited with their discovery, you feel me? And that understanding, whether it's the planets or the plants, all of our colored understandings are unquestionably through the lens of the white male father God, through his macrocosm of the white male religions and male-centered religions, patriarchal religions. And so we all understand and accept without question everything that is and has been named by patriarchy. And if we are to return to, in an evolutionary fashion, the world, how it functions through our lens, through our worldview, through our ancestry, through our DNA, and through our cultural understanding of what it means to be one within the whole, then it means that all the rewriting, that all the renaming, that all the remembering and reknowing has to be dominated for a while, dominated and redone through the lens, through the worldview, through the experience of we portal carrying humans, we portal holding humans, we the tree, women, we the tree that connects heaven and earth seamlessly, we heaven and earth unified in a singular whole, we women, because we women both are a material force and hold in our body access to the universe. Everything must be rewritten through us, through our worldview. This is the world that we have to give birth to. You understand? And the role that our sons must play. The roles that our sons must play is prolific, really. It is. Maybe a discussion for another day, because I want to stay on topic. Okay? So, I told you the story. I don't know exactly where I was when the power went out, and that was quite shocking. Are we returning and moving forward to the next iteration, moving towards refinement? I don't know what you mean by refinement. I don't know. That's a very broad word. But what I know is that if the process is perfect and perfect enough to be repeated in every aspect of life on earth, then what we're talking about is the process that we are involved in right now, which is the evolutionary process that will result in an emerging collective new, a new way, a new way, a new way of being, a new way of thinking, a new way of existing, but we're all involved in a singular evolutionary process that's still based on the cosmic aspiration of maintaining homeostatic yin-yang balance. right? Doesn't mean that imbalance does not happen. We are in a state of imbalance. Imbalance happens. The homeostatic yin yang process is the perfect answer to any imbalance that may occur. Yes, this is the evolutionary process. And once the imbalance occurs, the homeostatic process that attempts to win itself, the imbalance back into harmonious relation with the other aspect of itself, right? That process is evolutionary. When the harmony is reestablished, when the balance is reestablished, that's the emergent process. The establishing of the working out the kinks, the attempting to resolve the imbalance is the evolutionary part. The achievement of homeostatic balance is the evolutionary part. Is the emergent part. Okay? That's why I fix everything within that concept and within that idea. I'm trying to simplify. And I know because of the quagmire that we have been in, a lot of us be extra wordy, try to be extra deep, try to be extra philosophical. And in our mind, that translates to kind of like a mystical ambiguity. You don't want everybody to understand what you're talking about, because if everybody understands what you're talking about, and everybody is now given the tools to think as deeply and viscerally and completely as you do, what would make me special? If everybody was on my level, what would make me special? If everybody thought with the same capacity that I have, the way that I do, right? What would make me special? We create mystery to make ourselves special, to put ourselves above others. I'm not trying to do that. So that's why I talk to you the way that I do. I talk to you in a way that you can understand even that which is even those things that we attempt to go real deep into. I want you to follow what I'm saying, not follow as in, like a preacher in his flock. That ain't what I'm talking about. I want you to comprehend what I am trying to transmit to you so that you too can be raised up in the moment, so that you too can reach another evolutionary marker in your journey, so that you too have the capacity in your understanding when I say something to you and you can feel them synapses connect like breakthrough eureka shit. Now you too can go out and tell somebody else, put somebody on about what the epiphany that just came through the mother to you through this medium. So I get it. It's something that we have to undo. It's something that we have to unlearn. This way that even those of us in the spiritual community be trying to pontificate in such a way that really implies we ain't really trying to have people understand what we saying. We trying to see how much smarter we are than the next person. We like to hear ourselves talk. And so we want to make sure that we the smartest person in the room. And I ain't trying to do that shit. Hence the colloquialisms are necessary. Hence the word seasoning is necessary. I want to make sure that you understand, you comprehend what I am telling you. And so even if I am discussing something extremely deep, I'm always breaking it down. I'll say it the deep way, and then I'll say it translates to this. This is what it means. This is what it looks like as an actual identifiable phenomenon in the world. I want you to comprehend what I am telling you, because your mother is trying to call you back to your divine sense of knowing, your divine sense of knowing, your divine sense of being, your divine understanding of who you are within her. She's saying, bitch, you me. And I need to be clear. I need you to know you are me. So all of the boundless, radical power and potential that I possess, you too possess. But you can only access if you can see, if you can hear, if you truly comprehend, if you are not listening with the sole purpose of responding. There are spaces where I can say confidently and understand confidently when I am in that space that I am the smartest person in the room. Smart is not a statement of arrogance. When I say that I am the smartest person in the room, I am taking into consideration my age. Am I the oldest person in the room? Which not only means my age is tied to the gravity of my experience as a person on this planet, right? Am I the only mother in this room? If not, am I the only grandmother in this room? Am I the only one with a degree? Am I the only one with multiple degrees? How have those degrees served me in my interaction with other human beings? Or is this just a compilation of ideas and quote, knowledge, disembodied knowledge in my skull that has no impact on my real life? So in those spaces where I know that I am the smartest person in the room, my work becomes the mentor, not to prove how smart I am to a room full of people that I know I have the opportunity to raise up, to teach, to leave something with that can impact their life. Some of y'all, and I say y'all broadly, anybody out in the world, because it's how we're conditioned and it's how we're trained. Because we so self-conscious, because we don't believe we're God, because we feel interiorly insecure, we go out into the world trying to prove how much smarter we are than the next person. It's in our language. It's in our articulation. It's in how we treat other human beings. We step out into the world with our insecurities. Now, the world may not see our insecurities, but our insecurities display themselves as arrogance. Our insecurities display themselves as haughtiness. Our insecurities display themselves as nationalism. And so what that does is, instead of entering into a space and analyzing in an instant, am I the teacher in this scenario? Am I the mentor in this space? Or am I the student? And then adjust your behavior accordingly. Because that happens too, where I will enter into a space and surveying the room and using all of my intuition and my discernment to assess in just a few moments what my role is in the space. Is my role mentor? Is my role student? And then adjust my presence in the space accordingly. What that translates to is, if I identify right away that I am the student in the room, I'll take out a pen and a piece of paper and shut my motherfucking mouth and listen, truly listen, hear what it is Spirit is trying to teach me in that moment. Because those people that I have assessed in the moment, I have something to learn from, right? I know that it is Spirit communicating to me through them. And she is saying to sit your motherfucking ass down here in the corner, take your pen and paper out, because there's something for you to catch. There's something for you to learn here. But I don't enter into any space intimidated. Because see, if you enter into a space intimidated, that's what will have you act haughty in the space. That's what will have you say, well, I heard and I know and what I learned in college, needing to prove your intellect, needing to fill a void of insecurity within you. So you come off like an asshole. You come off arrogant, trying to teach the teacher. You cannot hear Spirit in the mentor, because in this relationship, you trying to prove what you know. So Spirit can't give nothing to you. Oh, you know everything already, but you got it. You got it. You feel what I'm saying? And I've seen this shit over and over and over and over and over again. Over and over, and especially because it's me. I started out by saying, even we Black people, even we Black women, do not show the proper reverence and respect for the wisdom that comes from the lips of Black women. Even we do that. And because we do that, everybody else does it too. Everybody in every space, everywhere on the whole of the planet. Even we do it. There are emails that I will get where I'm like, this is something that we have to work on with one another. Women in general. Black women in particular. We have to be in space with one another, Black women, to begin to sit face to face with our own insecurities, with our own internalized patriarchy, with our own internalized white supremacy, with our own internalized and superimposed less thanness, and face each other in private, face each other in circle and in ceremony to undo that shit within us so that we collectively can be the best version of ourselves and ourselves as the representatives of the one in the world. We have to do that. We have to do that. Do you understand? And the reason I'm talking about this is because, again, all these years that I'll just say that we collectively, all of us, no one is exempt. I am not exempt. We have to, one, be confident in the fact that we are one. That's where it's got to start. We have to believe. We have to fully embody and internalize that I am my mother's daughter. I am my mother's son. I am my mother's child. And in that identification, in that unity with my mother, I represent her here on earth. I represent all of her potential right here on earth and step out in the world with that kind of audacity. Audacity is different than arrogance. Arrogance comes from a place of deficiency. Audacity comes from a place of certainty. Arrogance comes from a place of independence, severance from. Audacity comes from a confident union with. You understand? And so we have to step out in the world with, if we don't even have an understanding yet, if we infants in our spiritual understanding, our political understanding, if in our evolutionary process, if we at the beginning of our evolutionary process in spiritual walk and somebody is more at the graduating phase of their evolutionary walk, that does not matter. That is not what's primary. What's primary is the moment that you fully, truly accept that I am my mother's child. And within me is all of the power and potential that she too possesses, because she and I are one. She and I are one. And even if I don't know nothing yet, I can step out into the world with that kind of confidence and that kind of audacity. And when I have that, I am no longer insecure. There is no need for me to be insecure. Now I can show the proper reverence and respect for a reflection of the one who is further along in their evolutionary process than I am. I am not intimidated by this one who knows more than I. In fact, I am excited by it because I know that my mother, because this person that I am looking at is me. This person is a peculiar reflection of me because we both are one. We both are one in her. That respect is not forced. Respect is not forced. Respect is not even earned. Respect comes from recognizing yourself in those around you and then adjusting your behavior in relationship with them according to their place in their walk through the evolutionary process. You have no reason to be intimidated by anyone, but patriarchy does that. Patriarchal understanding of who we are and our importance in the world generates, gives birth to intimidation, gives birth to disrespect, gives birth to class separation, gives birth to independence ideology that severs your ties from the one, that severs your connection from the one, that clouds your memory of divine knowing. So I need people to be mindful of how they address me, and how they approach me and how they talk to me. I am not angry and I am not upset, but it is a recognition that it has happened a lot in this process that we're engaged in, where even people with well intentions, that shit is so deeply ingrained in us that we do not assess in the moment whether we should be teacher or whether we should be mentor or whether we should be student. And it comes off a lot in how some of you address me. It does. And it's not, for me, it's, you know, for you, it might not even be present. For me, it is a recognition. It is a recognition. And see, the thing is the problem, or even the hesitation that we may have, because like I told you, I don't ever want any of you to call me mama, big mama, ma, goddess, sistren. No, not sistren. But I don't want you to address me in a way that places me above you, that places me over you, that charges me with some kind of responsibility that you two do not equally have. The only thing that sets us apart is my peculiar walk through my destiny with the mother has provided me with a peculiar and unusual set of circumstances, experiences, and education and knowing and learning that gave me more access than most of you have in this moment. My charge with the acquisition of those things, experiences, and so on and so forth, is to give them to you in a way that if you are an infant in your walk through the evolutionary process, then I am mincing it up, condensing the experiences, the knowing, the understanding, education, and so on and so forth, condensing it, mushing it up, softening it, clarifying it, so that you can feed off of it like an infant. You understand? And so, so in this walk, where yes, I am the founder of the the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. I had the peculiar set of circumstances, experiences, so on, that only I would have been able to create the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. That is not a statement of arrogance. That's an audacious statement based in my certainty of my relationship with my mother, because she and I are one. Each one of us, once we accept it, once we internalize it, once those synapses truly meet and it becomes concretized in us, each one of us. I don't care who you are or how low you think you are. I don't care if you in your infancy of the journey or if you about to graduate in this journey. Each and every solitary one of us, inhabiting all of the boundless potential of the entire universe in this incarnation, being one with our mother, at the same time being a unique, necessary, vitally important, peculiar expression of her need in this life. We all are important. We all have a equally exciting, boundless, radical destiny that she has in store for us if we can meet it, if we can remember it, if we can recall it, which is what we saw when we chose this life, which is what we saw when we petitioned our mother to let us live, to let us be. That's the journey, is remembering that. Is surmounting the path of unknowing. Do you understand? So when I say that it is important for you to recognize and address me with the reverence and respect deserving of one who is now knowingly walking in ceremony with the one, with the mother, and that my peculiar role in this walk is to teach you so that you too can remember and recall what your magical, massive, humongous, radical destiny is, so that you have the tools to fulfill it. Approach me correctly. Approach me correctly. I'm never above you. I am your mentor. And even as a mentor, I am not above you. I am not above you. This is the work, is re-understanding human relationships. So for me, what that means is when I go into a room and I survey the room and I decide in a moment, am I the teacher here or am I the student here? It is not me subduing. It's not me suppressing myself. It's not me reducing myself. It is me saying, recognizing in constant, I'm always in ceremony, y'all. Ceremony doesn't just unfold because I light some candles and light some incense. I am always in ceremony. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every second of my existence. Once I remembered, once I recalled truly why I chose this life and what my destiny is, I am always in ceremony. My life is a ritual. And knowing that, remembering that, recalling that. Do you understand me? I go into a room, and if spirit says, you're the student today, I don't reject that. I don't reject that. I don't say, well, shit, I know some shit too. I know some things too. What I know in that moment is not primary. It's not of primary importance because spirit said, bitch, there's something for you to learn today. Be still, be quiet, listen, hear, receive, look for evidence of its truth. Do you feel it in your body? Do you feel it in your flesh? That's the respect and reverence is my silence. That obviously mother chose this particular person on this particular day to impart something on me that I did not have. To feed me something that I didn't know I needed. That is not an act of reducing my significance or myself. It is a willful and welcome intervention in a harmonious relationship with my mother. And some of y'all, the way y'all talk to me, the way you approach me, y'all have not learned that yet. Y'all have not learned that yet. You understand? And the only way for you to learn it is for me to bring it to your awareness. Is for me to bring it to your attention and say, be mindful when you're in the space. Be mindful that you are not reducing me because I am Black and female. The same way that you would sit in silent respect and reverence in a church with the preacher speaking, consider doing that for Black women for change. Consider doing that. You would not be talking during church saying, but preacher, you know what? I like what you just said, but you know, what about this? I heard this. You wouldn't do that. It wouldn't even occur to you to do that. It wouldn't even occur to you. But y'all do it to Black women all the time. Black women do it to Black women all the time. Everybody do it to Black women all the time. And you cannot face and address those malignancies that still exist in yourself and in us collectively if it's not brought to your wellness, your awareness. So this is what I'm doing in the moment, right? Because sometimes it is a learned skill. Sometimes we listen and what we hear is awesome and it's right on. And even though we like it, we like, yeah, that she said that. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. We heard it. You understand? We listened to it. We did not internalize it. We didn't deeply hear what was said. We heard superficially what was said. That's the difference between knowing the acquisition of knowledge and the acquisition of wisdom. You understand? And so let's go on, because I'm gonna be on here for a long time because I need to do this shit out loud. There's things I'm working through, and you guys' interaction with me helps me filter. Yeah, it helps me clarify. It helps me consolidate. You feel me? And so the naming, the importance of naming and renaming everything, right? And we started with female body parts. And we started with the sister who went to get initiated. And this African woman representing the power of all the universe yielded that power to her white husband, who was Babalawo, to give him power to rename this African woman and this African man in a sacred ceremony, right? That's how we started. And how the audacity of patriarchy personified has had the thorough audacity of the thorough arrogance of renaming everything that ever was. Of renaming everything that had existed for 25,000 known years of human history, to take it upon itself, patriarchy, and in 6,000 years, rename everything that was. And in the act of renaming everything that was, rewriting everything that was, and disappearing the evidence of everything that was, it ensured its certain victory. The naming preceded the victory. What did I just say an hour ago? The naming preceded the victory. The naming of all things, the renaming of all that was the collective personified spell cast to ensure the certainty of their victory over the mother. That informs us of what our job is. That informs us of the work that we must do. That informs us of the task that we must be engaged in. So this is not separate from a discussion of paying proper respect and reverence to the face of God in the body of Black females. This is our charge, women. This is our charge, women, uterus possessing humans on earth. This is our charge. This is the mechanism through which we can ensure the certainty of the victory of this charge, of the completion of this charge, of the inevitable emergence of this charge. But it has to begin with a shift in our fucking behavior and how we treat one another and how we see one another, and learning in an instant. Am I to teach in this moment? Am I to learn in this moment? And as the student, what do you do as a student? You learn, you take the lessons, then you complete the assignment. Then you complete the assignment. In the completion of the assignment, then you can say, after lesson, after homework, after completion of assignment, after complying to the request of she who knows more than I in the moment, now I too can evolve to the next level. Now I too can evolve to the next level. And as I am simultaneously learning and executing through compliance, these necessary things that contribute to my evolution, as I evolve and am still student, I too now can teach those who are not yet as far along on their evolutionary journey as I am. So I can be teaching, which helps me to learn. The teaching also helps me to learn from them and continue in my learning and my participation under the leadership of my mentor. This is not separate from the urgency, from the urgency of the task at hand bestowed on we women. We uterus carrying, portal carrying. Now, I want to make a clarification because some of y'all get real extra and real complicated. If you were born with a uterus, so there are many females who no longer have uteruses. You too are included in this statement. You too, if you incarnated in this life with a portal in your body, you are who I am talking about. That does not imply a separation from the intimate, necessary relationship to all of those others who do not and were not born with uteruses. Your role is peculiar and necessary and vital and important. It is not our role. Our roles are different. Our roles do not imply supremacy the way we understand it, the way we have been forced to understand it. You understand? There is no supremacy. Your mother doesn't, when she's healthy, when she's well, when she's whole, your mother doesn't internalize that she's supreme over you. She feels you in her body. She sees you as a part of her. Not lord over you, a part of her. The role and responsibility of portal carrying human beings is peculiar to us in general. That peculiarity deepens and sharpens and is personified in different ways based on our current relationship to one another by these things imposed on us by patriarchy called race and nationality. Our peculiar role collectively as portal holding humans is peculiarly ours. And based on our proximity to the God of our image, just like patriarchy is the personification of their relationship to their relationship in proximity to the God of their imagination, which is white, male, white beard, white hair, white rose, white sky, white angels, white heaven. And they establish their supremacy based on their proximity to the God of their creation and imagination. We too have to do the same thing. We have to move in the world with a certain supremacy, a certain audacity that is based on our understanding and our relationship in proximity to the God of our imagination, but our imagination based on our material experience. And who is that? The God of our imagination based on our material experience. It is she. It is black, it is night, it is dark. So somebody got on my shit the other day, some white woman got on my shit the other day talking about, well, if we're all goddesses because we all have uteruses, then why should we have to bow down to black women? Bitch, first of all, that ain't never nothing even remotely close to what the fuck I said. Never. And second of all, even if that ain't nothing I would say. Because I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in having white people bow at my feet. The fuck kind of shit is that? That is some patriarchal shit. Yes, even if it's to some shit you call a goddess. That's some patriarchal shit. What did Barbara Moore say in The Great Cosmic Mother? She said, never in the history of matriarchal systems anywhere on earth did the goddess require that people be prostrate on their face in worship of her. She said, never anywhere in history prior to the emergence of patriarchy, anywhere in history where people, anywhere on the cave walls with the cavemen, the Cro-Magnons, and the early hunter-gatherers, never anywhere has there ever been any archaeological evidence, nowhere on the whole of the planet, where people in worship of the goddess, that the personification of their worship was on their face or on their belly or on their motherfucking knees, weeping and wailing and calling that shit some kind of reverence and worship of the mother. Everywhere on earth, the worship of the mother was fully embodied. Your worship of the mother was in ecstasy. That's what she said. The cavemen wasn't in the cave worshiping the goddess of the hunt on their motherfucking knees and shit. They was dancing. They was singing. And so, first of all, that white girl's knee-jerk response was her patriarchy showing. It was her patriarchy showing. So that's what I mean when I said we got to work through our goddamn conditioning. It was her patriarchy showing. Well, if we're all the goddess and we all have a uterus, then why should we have to bow down to black women? That's not what I said. What I did say is your proximity, your white supremacy, in your proximity to the God of your imagination is what has you in a contest with women of color anyway. And it is not until you do what Shango did, recognizing that the malignancy that exists in your spirit and in your consciousness is an imposed malignancy based on your proximity to the God of your imagination of the last 6,000 years. And that you have to go to war with that motherfucker before you can enter into true, harmonious, beautiful relationships with everybody else. You understand? And so when I make a statement like switching that worldview to the proximity of the God of our imagination, which is not just the mother in some ambiguous way, it is the great, universal, boundless, limitless, infinite black that we all must be in and live in and evolve in before we can emerge. We have to live in the dark. We have to not just live in the dark, bitch. What did it say about the early Egyptian temple whores? We can't just live in the dark, exist in the dark, sleep in the dark. We have to ecstatically, enthusiastically, maniacally, wildly, confidently, audaciously thrive in the dark for evolution to truly unfold. Then we can welcome the light. Then we can welcome the light. Light too has to evolve in the dark. That's what that story was about. When it said that the holy whores kept the hours of the night in dance. And they weren't just dancing because it was dark. What were they doing? The dance was the ceremony that they did to ensure the evolutionary becoming of the solar boat that held their sun through each hour of the night, ensuring his inevitable emergence at dawn. This is a harmonious, beautiful relationship that has been completely wiped from our memory. So stop being offended. Stop being offended. Men, stop being offended by anything that I say. White women, stop being offended by anything that I say, because to know me is to know my life, is to know my relationships, and to know that that life and those relationships were purposeful so that I could rally for all of you to remember, rally for all of you to re-become. In this moment, as a part of the urgent and evolutionary process is the simultaneous emerging, the simultaneous evolution, and the simultaneous deconstruction of all that has been imposed on us. White women must follow. That does not mean you are less than or lower than or anything like that. That your evolutionary journey may take a little longer and may take different types of work, because your proximity to the God of your creation and your imagination, that your birthing ritual has consolidated. Patriarchy isn't just about men, boo. That's the comfort zone for white women. Well, we're all victimized by men, but baby, it is your birth water. It is your relationship to the mother. It is your relationship to the one that has concretized, that has given fuel to, that has literally given life blood to. The consecration of patriarchy. It is your perpetual birth rituals, white women, as you have accepted the supremacy of a white male God in a white heaven in a white sky, with no evidence anywhere that that is real. But once it was accepted, you were taken away from the culture of the mother and you became a weapon of the father. You have done that. That ain't deliberate. That ain't no shit you deliberately did. But that process of wiping clean your memory, white women, of your relationship to the one, white women, it wasn't just your belief. It was how, what did I say? The synaptic activity joined becomes a part of the flesh. And as a part of the flesh, it changes your behavior. It changes your body chemistry. You have been manipulated to use the power of all creation inherent in your body too, white women, to perpetually and continually hold in your body the seed of patriarchy, consecrated in your primordial water, and subsequently crown and make a blood covenant with its continued existence. You have done that. So when you continue to reject, when you continue to offend, when you continue to blaspheme, when you continue to initiate these aggressions against women of color in general and Black women in particular, you are further consolidating your separation from her. And you can do all the full moon dances and full moon ceremonies and rituals you want to do. You will still be miserable. You will still be suffering. You will still be sitting in your psychologist's office once a week trying to figure out what is wrong with you, even though you've been in ceremony for 7 years. This is the missing link. This is the missing link. You understand? Every last one of you have a role to play in the return to source that guarantees our evolutionary leap forward, that guarantees that we will collectively emerge new and better than we ever have been. Do you understand? Stop seeing what I am saying and responding to what I am saying through the lens of your internalized patriarchy. Black men, you do it too. Mexican men, you do it too. All of you do it. Stop responding to me from your internalized patriarchy, from your internalized white supremacy. Stop responding to me through the lens of your malignant proximity in your imagination to God Supreme as some white guy in the sky, disembodied from you, wheeling out genocide on the one hand and wealth and opulence on the other, and you can't figure out what you got to do to be on the giving side as opposed to the receiving side of all his wrath and shit. The mother God has never treated you that way. She continues to bless you, even as you are ungrateful and unreverent, hoping to win you back, hoping that a whisper that she gives to you will recall your memory, will pull you out of the cloud of unknowing. If in the place that you are now, something that I say irritates you so, don't talk to me about it. I mean that. Don't email me about it. Don't talk to me about it. Don't respond on none of my shit. I am doing my mother's will. If that irritates your fucking demons, it just means you're not in a space where you're ready to receive what she has to say. That's all. That's all. Maybe you can come back to this shit in 10 years and it becomes something that you can resonate with. That you can say, oh yeah, okay. But when I say it's been a hard struggle, because I love humanity. I love humanity because I love myself. I love humanity because I love my mother. And even as I was a fucking Black nationalist for 12 years, it did not sway the amount of love and the integrity of the relationships that I had with the white people in my life that I love. This is the work. Nationalism, y'all don't want to hear this. Nationalism is a response born from patriarchy. It is. I recognize that nationalism can provide a certain level of protection for us as groups within this peak expression of patriarchy. But we have to keep in our mind all the time that nationalism is a defensive mechanism to patriarchy, but given to us by patriarchy. Nationalism protects us from the actions of those that we don't identify as self, because that's what nationalism is. They ain't like us. Oh my fucking God. God damn. Oh God. Shit. And in that nationalism, because they ain't like us. Oh fuck. And in that nationalism, that is a weapon born from the malignancy of patriarchy. Did nationalism exist in the matriarchy? Is there evidence anywhere in archaeological history that there was a concept necessary for the defense of the group called nationalism? Nationalism is a defense mechanism born from patriarchy, born from the violence of patriarchy. And here we are, all singing a song in a ritualistic, rhythmic way. Fuck. Called They Not Like Us. And that's my jam. But oh, fuck, here we are in this moment. And it is she who says, nationalism is not of me. Nationalism is not of me, honey. And if it's not of me, where the fuck it came from? Nationalism is not of me. That's what your mother says. Nationalism is not of my making. And if it is not, it can only come from one place. It can only come from the malignant son, because the father does not exist. That's what the mother is saying. I want y'all to hear me. Y'all gonna be mad. The father does not exist. There is no such entity as the father. There is no such entity as a mother. What did I say? There is no such entity as the father. There is no such entity as the father. There is no such entity nowhere in the universe as a father. There is only two entities weaving in and out of each other in their attempt to have a harmonious relationship. And those two entities that exist everywhere in the whole of the cosmos is the mother and her son. The mother and her son. The mother and her son. The father was born out of the malignancy of the son and his separation from his mother. When you males seed a child, contribute in your peculiar and necessary way to the evolutionary process unfolding, you are still a son. You are still a son. You are still one within your mother. You are still one with your mother. And while your contribution to the evolutionary process, your important, valuable, necessary contribution to the evolutionary process is profound, it doesn't make you equal to your mother. You are one with your mother, not equal to your mother. You are one with your mother. So while your progeny may call you daddy and see you as the father figure in this what should be harmonious relationship between the female contributing factor to your existence and the male contributing factor to your existence, the son gone rogue, the son forgetting who he is, the son in his malignant attempt to steal power from his mother gave birth to the father, baby. Gave birth. The father became an entity equal to and eventually greater than the mother, because the son gave birth to the father. The son gave birth to the father. What does that mean philosophically? What does that mean metaphorically? What does that mean historically in terms of mythology? It is the centering in all things of the son over the mother. It is the centering in all things of the son, the S-U-N, over the mother, over the dark. So there's this whole discussion historically about, in history, that moment, and the act was considered heresy. When, I don't remember who it was. Was it Galileo? It might have been Galileo. One of the pivotal moments in human history, when Galileo, as the entire world well, the entire European world. Let me clarify. The entire European world had accepted as holy writ. Thank you, Miss Carrie. Thank you for your donation. Let me put that up there so y'all all can be encouraged to donate to this lesson. All right. At this moment in history, wherefore throughout the entirety of the Dark Ages and the Renaissance, where the accepted idea, unchallenged and unquestioned up until this point in Europe, was that all of the benefics revolved around the earth. That all the benefics revolved around the earth. That was the accepted, unquestioned idea, concretized in people's brains through synaptic activity that was certain through chemical changes to hardwire into the flesh to ensure a actual identifiable behavior in the material world. That's what accepted ideas do. Right? That was the unchallenged for hundreds of years, accepted as holy writ idea about our place in the solar system, was that all the benefics revolved around our planet. You understand? And then Galileo, who in trinketing with toys and begins to see further out into space than we had been capable with the naked eye. You feel me? At least in Europe, right? And he comes out with a declaration that we, for all these hundreds of years, have been wrong. That it is not all of the benefics that revolve around our earth. It is us and all the other benefics that revolve around the sun. Okay? And for that, he was charged by the dominating belief system. He was charged with heresy. He was charged with heresy for saying that all the planets revolved around the sun. But isn't it interesting? Because somebody had to know that all the planets revolved around the sun way before Galileo's age, because there was a distinct period in human history way predating Galileo where the central entity of adoration and worship was the moon, because of her proximity to the earth, which had been seen in every culture as our mother. So it would make sense that if the image of our God in our mind as mother to all of us is earth, then the closest planet or entity in heaven in proximity to her would become the center of our collective adoration. Doesn't that make sense? So even before Galileo said, well, yeah, actually the planets do circle around the sun, we had already been involved in 4,000 years of solar deity worship. We had already been involved in several thousand years of solar deity worship. Somebody knew before Galileo did that, yes, obviously, it's the non-white world. Everybody in the non-white world knew for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years that our planet too revolved around the sun. Yet they still centered the moon is our object of adoration and the different phases and faces and personifications of the goddess during her phases and her relationship with us. The Mother Earth was still the center of our relationship to the other benefics, even as we scientifically understood well before Europeans did. You feel me? Thank you, Baby Zoe, for your donation. Even as we understood scientifically, yes, we've been watching the stars for 25,000 years, bitch. What are y'all talking about? Everything revolves around the earth. No, everything revolves around the sun, and it still didn't make us prone to center the sun in our worshipful behavior. The sun is a sun. The S-U-N is a sun. S-O-N to the great cosmic mother. So when you look at pictures of the Egyptian god Nut, right, who is pictured as the universe hovering over the earth with her divine udders that give the galactic milk that we know as the Milky Way, right? There is a recognition that the peculiar relationship that we have as Earth, because we are Earth. If we're our mother, we are Earth, right? That the peculiar relationship that we have to our mother as Earth, our great cosmic mother, she has a peculiar relationship to our personification, her personification of us, right? And so the pre-dynastic Egyptian people recognized that all that is son. There is no father. There was no father in pre-dynastic Kemetic tradition. There was only the mother and her son. Now you will have after the rise of the dynastic period, which is the rise of patriarchy in Egypt. The dynastic period is the patriarchal emergence of patriarchal Egypt, right? It is only then where the son becomes greater than his mother. It is only then when the son becomes greater than his mother, is in the dynastic period, right? And so now, and that's in every culture, Mayan culture, so on, so on, so on. And so because we have centered, because this solar system, our relationship with the immediate planets, at that juncture that we recognize, right, that we are like circling around the sun, it is malignant. It is the malignant sun that says, oh, the sun must be more important than the little old moon. It's our backward selves that was centering the moon and worshiping the moon. But now we see that the sun is more important than the moon. This is when you start seeing a change in the collective ideology of males all over the world simultaneously at the same time. That's when you start seeing that. You understand? The single mother is always demonized because the father is a necessary image instrument in the minds of everyone on earth that justifies and legitimizes patriarchy. That's why the most demonized motherfuckers on earth are single baby mamas. Single baby mamas, black single baby mamas. Because there are just as many single female head of households in white communities and Asian communities and so on and so forth, but you don't hear a whole barrage of condemning caricatures about single baby mamas and all of this bullshit that you do with black women. Why? Because y'all hate the mother and your malignancy and your separation from her. You understand? And so, yeah, so that's one thing, right? So all of this to say, what I said at the beginning of this reboot is the work is the renaming of everything, is the rewriting of everything, is the redefining of everything. Thank you, Blue Floor Priestess Graveyard of the Graveyard, for the contribution. Let me put this up too, because I need these contributions, and while I love seeing these come up on my feed, the little super chats and the donations and stuff, there's a certain level of urgency since I haven't worked for 2 weeks. So I would appreciate if you can. Those of you who have contributed, I thank you very much. I won't see those for a week, but if you want to make a contribution, I really want to encourage you, at least for today, to make those contributions to either Zelle, and my Zelle is releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. My Cashapp is $DaughterOfTheFates with each first letter capitalized. My Venmo is Cassandra-Floyd, and my PayPal is @Iapo So Zelle is my email, releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. My Cash App is $DaughterOfTheFates. My Venmo is Cassandra-Floyd, and my PayPal is at Iapo and Gina. Okay. So I think about take a picture. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Let me see if that'll work. That's a good idea. Thank you. I didn't even think about that. And I'll just see if I can. I don't know if you can post pictures in the comments though. Oh, but I know what I can do. I know what I can do. I know what I can do. Thank you for that idea. Thank you for that feedback. Who was that? JH. Thank you. Yeah, JH. Thank you for that. Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna share screen. And then I can share screen, and that way you can see it the whole time. That's great. That's a great idea. See how feedback works? See how us being up in here together work? Grace, while I'm posting this picture, Grace Jackson asks, hold on, let me post this picture. Okay. Present. Share screen. Okay. Okay, let me see. I have to do this a different way. How can I do this? Oh, I know how I can do it. Hold on just a second. I'm sure there's an easier way to do it, but I can't. I can't. I can't think about. It doesn't come to me right now, but I'm sure there's an easier way to do it. I'll figure it out for next time. But thank you for that, JH. That was a good idea. Let's see. Um. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Now this is. Don't be laughing at me. This is gonna be my hood solution to the temporary, quandary, if you will. You feel me? So don't be laughing at me. There we go. Dang. Well, that didn't work. Oh, that is not what I meant to do. Damn. But why ain't it showing like that? Dang. That this shit. Okay. Or possible post a movie list under post. That was good. Blah, blah, blah. Crop selection. I don't like that. I want me to be bigger. Full screen layout. No. This shit. Fuck. Thank you, Yancy McIntyre. Oh, there were some other names I needed to mention because my Zelle doesn't send me alerts, so I need to make some honorable mentions to those who made contributions directly to my Zelle while we were on the last time. So let me do that as soon as I figure out how y'all can see this. I guess that's going to have to do. I wanted myself to be bigger. I wanted it to be like half and half, but I can't figure out how to make what you're viewing. Cinema layout, whatever. I can't figure it out. So anyway, let's see. So there were four people who made contributions to my Zelle. So I want to shout them out too. Lene, Tiffany, Charlotte, Carlotta, and Amber. Thank you all for your contributions to my Zelle. Thank you very much. Okay. So that's that. I don't know if I'm going to leave that long because when I'm rewatching this on YouTube later, I don't want the shared screen to be bigger than, I don't know why I won't let you do an equal distribution of the shared screen and the presenter's face. But yeah, I'll solve it later. But anyway, we'll leave that up for a little bit. Let me go back because Grace Jackson says, this is so off topic. Forgive me, but since you always recommend movies as homework besides books, do you have Letterboxd? I don't know what that is. I don't know what Letterboxd is, so you'll have to explain that to me because I don't know what that is. And then is this Solitaire Wisdom says, is this the reason for the disdain of West African body type? Everything that we experience has its birth origin in patriarchy, in this flipping upside down of the world from the matriarchy, of this seeing through the lens of a white male father deity in heaven, and those in power's proximity to that image. Everything that is antagonistic to that image is viewed with revile and disdain. So if it's the skinny, buff, perfectly portioned personification, quote, of Adonis and Aphrodite, you feel me, in their proximity to the Olympian white father god on a high, up on high, you feel, then again, everything that is antagonistic to or the antithesis of that personification must be the nemesis, the evil of that personification. You feel what I'm saying? So the answer to your question is yes. I'm asking, so maybe you could create a movie list to share, and we could also share movie recommendations with you on there. So I will do a little research and figure out what Letterboxd is, because that's a great idea. I created my Patreon just yesterday. Thank you for your donation, Janet R. Kennedy. I appreciate you so much. I created my Patreon yesterday, like set it up to be a creator. I already had Patreon, but I set it up yesterday to be a creator. So I really want to try to make a move to do a different type of content on my Patreon. And the reason I launched it in the first place was wanting to do the do nothing on this particular one, but my movie reviews, right? And then I also thought about doing re-implementing the health show that I used to do in the party called Colonialism is Bad for Your Health. And then the other show that I want to do is erotic storytelling through the lens of the mother, right? So yeah, I'll go ahead and look into that and see what Letterbox is and how it can serve us, how we can use it. That was good. And then folks can take screenshots with their own phones. Oh, that's a good say. See, thank you. I see how y'all be helping me solve problems in real time. You feel me? I like that. I like that. I like that. So do that. So I'm gonna leave this up for a little bit because it's annoying me. This picture on the screen, and what I think it was JH was saying was, instead of me leaving this up on the screen, you know, all of y'all that are listening and what have you, take a screenshot, take a picture of it, or a screenshot of it, so you can have it and I can remove it. Y'all can still make contributions directly to these things. And for that too, let me turn back on my IG. For that purpose too, also scrolling across the bottom of the screen. So for those of you who are tuning in from Facebook or from YouTube, you can take a picture of the screen, but also for those of you who are tuning in from Facebook and YouTube, the banner is scrolling across the screen that has all of the ways that you can make a donation. My Zelle is on there, Cashapp, Venmo, and PayPal. So just look at the scrolling banner across the screen as well. All right. So anyway, so we were talking about pre-patriarchal understanding of the son's relationship to the mother, right? And how the father was given rise to when the son was placed in the center of worship on our planet. The Father God was born from the worship of the Son. And the worship of the Father God, the worship of the Son, the centering of the Son in this process that gave birth to the Father God, is also what gave rise to the concept of father in each household as the head of the family, as the personification of the God, and the home is the church. You feel me? Also, okay, Miss Carrie alerted y'all attention to it. Has the ticker across the bottom with the information. Jemiah Douglas, no, I haven't done the readings yet, but I'm going to. When folks take a screenshot on their phone, okay, blah, 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 okay, letterhead, blah, 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 blah. And Mother Phoenix Vision, thank you for your contribution. So if you contribute through Zelle, which I love that because there ain't no fees or nothing. If you contribute to Zelle, I don't get alerts from my Zelle. So just do what Mother Phoenix Vision just did. Say, look, I just sent you a donation through Zelle so I can shout you out, because I want to shout you out. I appreciate y'all. Okay, so now I'm going to stop sharing screen so we can get back to the mission at hand. You feel me? To the mission at hand. Okay. All right. All right. I'm just looking at a few of you guys' comments. Yeah, y'all went in up in here. So there were some other things that came through as epiphanies that I wanted to touch on And then I think I'm going to wrap this up because I have a workshop to teach tonight at 8:00. And I need to switch gears so I can get my mind prepared for that. So one of the things, how do we begin the process of naming and renaming everything? How do we begin the process? I said one of the things that we're going to have to do is the starting process is showing the proper reverence and respect for the innate intelligence of Black women. Because support comes from that. Support comes from respect. Support comes from reverence. So once you truly respect and revere that which we are charged to do and contribute to society, it will encourage you. It will challenge you. You won't even be challenged. You will be happy to. You will be blissful in your contribution to this process that we are engaged in, right? The second part of that, and the more practical and the more practical application of that is the same thing that they did. The same thing that patriarchy did in renaming everything to ensure its victory. They didn't do that. They didn't wait until they won to change the name of everything that referred to the mother. They didn't do that. Did they? They didn't do that. They crept into the spaces occupied by the mother. They began to sneak in language that changed ideas, changed concepts. This is a slow process that they were engaged in. But the name changing, the story changing, right, happened to ensure their victory. They did that before they were victorious. You understand what I'm saying? We have to do the same. We have to do the same. And how did they do that? They did that through scribes. What happened when we talked about the Sibyls, right? When we talked about the Sibyls and their supreme importance and damn near centrality, even in the emerging patriarchal empires throughout the Middle East and the Mediterranean and North Africa and all over Europe and Southern Europe, they said the influence of the Sibyls was world renowned, didn't it? Right? And so here, the Sibyls, emperors came from far and wide to sit at their feet to hear what the goddess had to say before they was plotting moves, organizing strategies and shit. You feel me? But what happened? Over time, the trance that Sibyls would descend into in relationship with their mother to impart wisdom, divine wisdom on the group. The scribes were not women. They were not mentees sitting at the feet of the Sibyls to learn the process. Damn. I'm going to take a minute because StreamYard is with that bullshit again. Right? The Sibyl, the conduit through which the mother spoke, was so every time you Google images of the Sibyl in ceremony, what does the picture look like? What does the picture look like? It is her sitting in the birthing position over a crack in the ground, emanating from the crack, the divine vapors that were engaging her transic state. She's squatting over the divine fissure. And in every picture that you can find so far that I've seen, she is surrounded on all sides by men. This is the process, is to sit in sacred spaces with the goddess under the guise of reverence so that you can write everything she say. You can scribe everything that comes from her mouth while she is in ceremony with the mother. You male become her scribe, sitting in her divine space, squatting in the birthing position, taking in to her uterus the divine vapors that send her into trance. And she is surrounded on all sides by males in every picture, in every illustration of the divination process with the Sibyls. This is how they rewrote history, boo. They had to invade divine spaces under the guise of reverence. Under the guise of reverence, you see. Under the guise of respect for the process. All they was doing was stealing. All they was doing was invading the space to get the direct divine word from the mother herself, keep the direct divine word from the mother, and rewrite the script. Isn't that what Mama Zogbe said in the Sibyls? Was these motherfuckers was petitioning the Sibyls because they knew she was the truth. They knew the Sibyls was the truth. Something is up with these bitches. They have a direct line to the mother. And so, yeah, we'll pay them what they ask. We'll sit around them like we really are, like we really respect them, like we really revere them. We ain't interested in the bitch. We interested in the word being filtered through her. So we got to placate. We got to play nice. We got to play like we really respect the process. Meanwhile, these male scribes hired by these men in power to surround the one, and write every word that she said while in ceremony. I am my own scribe right now, and I don't need to be. I am my own scribe right now. When y'all see me sit and I'm like, oh my God, shh, don't say anything. I don't just keep these around. These go in books. I have these books right here. I've got about 48 of them filled right now from cover to cover. I am my own scribe right now, and I do not need to be. Whenever epiphany comes through me in an instant, I tell y'all that. I keep notebooks in my purse because she comes to me everywhere. And the more chaotic the space, the more she got to say. Turn into the silence so you can hear what I need to tell you. You understand me? And I sit at a bar, even if the music is crunk, and I was like, oh shit, let's go. And then all of a sudden something comes down on me. And I'm like, okay, let me take a seat before I forget this. And then I go and commence to what the fuck I was doing. Y'all don't hear me. I am a Sibyl. I am an oracle who is afflicted because unlike these emperors of old that recognized, doesn't mean they respected the bitch, but they recognized it was only she who mother at that time in history was going to come to. And so they made sure to surround her, guarantee the proper conditions, even built temples for them, guarantee the proper conditions so that the divine one could come through her. Don't mean they gave a fuck about the bitch. Don't mean they gave a goddamn about the Sibyl. They faked. They were feigning respect and reverence so that they could gain access to the mother. They feigned respect and reverence, and they did everything that they had to do to feign that respect and reverence to gain access to the mother. So they were like, look, this is the history of the Sibyls. These bitches needed to be quiet. They need to be well fed. They need to be well watered. They need to have temples built over particular types of sites. Couldn't just be anything. They were typically built over fissures corresponding to fault lines that were near bodies of sacred water, springs and shit. And the temple, after the space, the sacred space has been identified. The temple would be erected around that sacred space so that once a month, the Sybil wasn't divining every motherfucking day like I have to just to eat, just to keep my rent paid, just to keep this white man who owned the building off my motherfucking back. They weren't divining every day. Everything that we read in the Sybil said what? Once a month for 7 days, there would be a line as far as the eye can see. Royalty first and everybody else after that, paying great dollar to sit at the feet of the Sybil. Isn't that what that book said? That you had one time in a month, this 7-day period, she was going to be working. Outside of that, she was going to be recovering from the ceremony that she had performed for you for 7 days. For the rest of the month, she was going to be well cared for. She was going to be, they said, she was paid top dollar for her intervention in your life. You understand me? And so she was taken care of. She was taken care of. But why was she taken care of? By men in power. Was she taken care of because they loved and adored her? Was she taken care of, well kept, well fed, didn't have to worry about where she was going to live? Was she well taken care of because these motherfuckers in power respected her or had some reverence for her skill or anything? She was taken care of. She was well provided for. She was well provided for. She was well taken care of because these maniacal motherfuckers saw those resources devoted to her was an investment in their inevitable hostile takeover, the completion of their hostile takeover of all things associated with the mother. And in order to do that, they had to gain access to the wisdom of the mother. That's what they did. That's what they did. And so what we must do is be informed of our history, informed by our history to understand the execution of the work that we are charged to do. The execution of the work that we are charged to do right now that came through like a motherfucking holy roller through this bitch over the last 3 days is the importance, is the supreme urgency of naming and renaming everything. Naming and renaming everything that is, everything that has been born from the brigandage imposed on us by patriarchy. That is the urgent call. It is. That call began through patriarchy in the simultaneous disappearing of all that was and the simultaneous naming and renaming of all that was. The naming and renaming of all that was through the lens of those who had closest proximity to the God of their creation through their imagination and worldview that was a political strategy to seize power, all power from the mother. This is not a spiritual conversation that we are having. We are talking about a 6,000-year, slow-moving political strategy that has personified itself as the son's conquering of the mother. The mother being subdued and her power and significance being all but wiped clean from our collective memory. And so, those of us who have heard her whisper, those of us who have heard her call to us, this is the charge. And so what does that mean? What does that look like practically? What does it look like practically to name and rename everything? The same thing that it looked like when these motherfuckers took over. It's not enough to me. It's not enough for me to be sitting in ceremony in this motherfucking house by myself, giving y'all goddamn gold. It's not enough. Me being my own scribe, looking like a motherfucking lunatic with pieces of paper everywhere in my house because shit is just coming through faster than I can process it and apply it. I too need scribes, people with uteruses to be scribes, even as they are learning to become oracles. I need writers to assign the idea. I don't have to execute every idea that I have. I have to share the idea so you can take up the cause in your journey of learning and walking with a divine mentor to execute the vision. I don't have to do all things. I don't have to do all things. I could say we need a children's book, and the main characters of the children's book has to be X, Y, and Z. The journey has to lead them from point A to point Z. Sister so-and-so, who has a wonderful history of as a thriving writer, this is your assignment to execute. We are co-creators in this process. We are co-creators in this process. Because I know what some of y'all motherfuckers would do, because you still tied to your your internalized patriarchy and your internalized goddamn hatred of black women and black women's genius, and you feel entitled to that which we create and produce. You feel me? That you will take the idea and say, look at what I came up with. Isn't this amazing? Even as the mother sat right the fuck up in me and said, bitch, I charge you. This is the idea. This is the execution. This is the journey. Now write the book. And you'll conveniently forget who your mentor was. That shit happens all the time. That's why the divine reverence and the divine respect come into play. The way we understand reverence and respect is some malignant patriarchal shit. The way I am telling you that we have to redefine, rename everything, every idea, every moray, every moral, even our understanding of moral behavior is through the lens of patriarchy. It's malignant as fuck. We have to redefine everything. This is what it means. If I just told you a story about how the ancient Sibyls, these men in power, emperors, Alexander the Great, emperors from China were known to travel for months to go sit at the feet of a black ass Sibyl in fucking Greece somewhere. They never questioned one time if the divination was authentic. They didn't say this, that's some bullshit. She ain't real. That's some bullshit. There was never a story of all of these emperors going all over the place to see the Sibyls, them saying, this shit ain't real. These bitches ain't real. They don't know nothing about the mother. They ain't never been a story that you can read about, even from the perspective of males in the period. Talking about the Sibyls, talking about the oracles. There was never a story where they said, oh, that's that bullshit. These bitches ain't diviners. These bitches can't communicate with spirit. There's never been, even in your motherfucking Bible. Whenever the Bible started talking about, who was it, Saul, that sought out the woman, what was she called at the time? She wasn't called a soothsayer. She was called we call them mediums, but they call them a more insidious word in the Bible. But that was Saul's crime, was that or necromancy or something. But talking to the dead, calling up the dead was a crime in the Bible, punishable by death. Saul knew this. It was his kingdom. He knew this. Yet he still called on this woman to raise up his I think it was his father or some shit. And then after she did what he forced her to do, put her to death for doing the shit. He never questioned if she had the ability. He knew she had the ability. They knew the Sibyls were who they were, did what they were known to do. Thus, these rich emperors from all over the known world would come once a month to sit at the feet of these women, paying top coin for their services. Was it because they respected them? Was it because they respected women? Because they didn't question the skill. It was an insidious relationship. They were like, we know these bitches about that life. And if they have the ability to channel the divine language of the mother, and we know we ain't got it, then we'll pay top dollar to gain advantage over our enemies and to secure our space and empire. That's why they paid top dollar. Not because they respected the goddess, not because they respected women, because they wanted access to power that they did not inherently have to serve their particular purposes. And if that's the case, it informs us of how we have to start moving. Identifying those in our community who we know. We don't even have to question. We know she is connected. She is the one. She is one of the mothers chosen in this moment to execute and to speak her will. And I'm not talking chosen like that bullshit, because we all chosen. That's what the mentorship is about. That's what it means to be a student. It's so that you too can tap into this inherent energy and this inherent power that we all possess. But there are those among us who have been keenly aware and walking in this path with our mother for a very long time. Identifying those among you in your community. There are many of us. Identifying them, and instead of just saying, I appreciate it. So it's not a dig. Okay. I appreciate when you reach out to me to pay me what I ask for a reading. It is an undeniable necessity right now. I am telling you this past because it is something that we can work towards that will benefit us all. It should inform us, right? So, yes, get your individual readings, because the process of divination, even receiving divination, is a part of the tutelage required between a mentor and the mentee. The divination is a learning process as much as it is me telling you an answer to your question in the moment. You're learning how to divine even as you are seeking the assistance of a diviner. You are. And those of you who have gotten readings from me so far, you know that's the case, don't you? Because what do I tell each of you? I tell you up front, I am warning you that if you email me talking about you want a reading with me, unlike most people divining for you, you are always going to leave that reading with homework that I will be following up on. Did you do what the card said do? Don't be reaching out to me for no another reading and you haven't even done the homework from the last divination. I'm telling you, that's how I do. Don't be wasting my motherfucking time. This ain't entertainment. If you seek out a divination from me and spirit tells me, tell them to do this, tell them to do this, tell them to do this, and they have 7 days to bust a move. And if they contact you again about another reading and you ask them if they done their homework and they haven't done the simple things that you charged them with the first time, tell them they can't get read. Do the homework from the last time, see what the results are, and then come back for another reading. This is how I divine. This is how I read for you. You understand what I'm telling you? As those charged with the urgent and immediate task of naming and renaming everything, the conditions have to be optimal for that process to be thorough and complete, for that process to guarantee the desired outcome. The circumstances have to be optimal for that to happen. We have to create the optimal circumstances and surroundings for that to unfold. What else does it mean when I tell you that our cards are always saying what God is saying to us? Sweetheart, dear one, it is only through a well-rested, it is only through a relaxed and well-rested you that I can do my best work. I cannot do my best work when you are stressed out. I cannot do my best work when you are fearful. I cannot do my best work when you are so tight in your body from chronic anxiety. Oh my God, am I going to have enough money to pay my rent this month? Am I going to have, oh my God, my car broke down. My car broke down last week. For real. Like in actuality, it's still sitting downstairs because I ain't got the money right now to even go see what's wrong with it. I'm not tripping about it because I have a bus pass, fine, whatever. But I'm just saying, you see how I talked about that? 3 years ago, that would have sent me into a tailspin of crisis. Oh my God, my car broke down. What am I going to fucking do? When my car broke down, I was like, okay, well, my grandkids are here for a week, so I can't invest no energy to it. I can't invest no mental energy and no physical energy. So I'm just going to put it out of my mind. I'll get to it when I can. And then I'll just switch gears, and because I can't obviously use my car now to go out and grab money. So I will have to focus my attention on this virtual way to make money until I can galvanize enough money to address my car and get back on the road. But you see how there's no stress or inflection in my voice when talking about my car? It is because I have really internalized what she said. Bitch, it is only through a well-rested and relaxed you that I can do my best work. Relaxation is the only way that I can impart epiphany. It is, right? It is only through a well-rested and relaxed you that I do my best work. It is, what does the Four Stones say? It is about basic survival. That those things that you need to exist comfortably, to exist without stress, food, clothes, shelter. When those things are certain, it frees you up to do what? To become your best, relaxed, and well-rested self so that I can come sit in you and speak through you. You understand? We have to create the circumstances that guarantee the most optimal situations for her to communicate to the many through us. It can't just be me. It can't just be another sister. It can't be just another sister. And those of us that y'all have pointed out, there's something different about us than everybody else talking that shit. But we still up in this motherfucker trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. We collectively, I had a sister tell me, and I loved her for it. I had a sister tell me that one of the things that I have been really meditating on, really praying for the last year since I found your page. This is what she told me. Since the last year since I found your page, I've been really meditating on it, really praying for it. I want to create some kind of business or some kind of process that is very lucrative, and then the profits, that which does not include that which supports my life, all the profits I want to turn over to the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Now, of course, I was flattered by that. I was, right? I was really humbled by that because she was sincere. This is an elder, right? But if I am going to be honest, and I am going to be genuine, and I am going to be to have the most integrity in my relationships with others who are a reflection of me in my relationship with the mother, I said, I appreciate that so much. And that is such a honorable ambition and an honorable vision. And I accept it. I said, but the question that I asked you, because this reading is about you, not what you want to do for me. The question that I asked you is, what are you passionate about? She looked confused. Well, I'm passionate about supporting those organizations and those people who are changing the world. I said, that is a passion. But again, this is not about the external. This is not about what you want to do for others. My question is, what gives you bliss? What are you passionate about for you in your life? I said, because your response was you want to create a business that's lucrative to fund these projects that you unite with. That's an admirable cause. It is one of my ambitions too, as the temple. One of the things that I've talked to the founding committee about is I want to get to a place where we can galvanize such a regular and a massive influx of of resources that we can every quarter identify 2 to 5 organizations that we support who are having problems getting funding, and do a huge event, like a party, like that goddamn bullshit in the desert. What's that bullshit? The Burning Man that raised $47 million last year in a week. I want to be doing them kind of parties with purpose, and then pay our people, pay our expenses, and all the profits be divvied up between these organizations that we have identified that are the real world execution of parts of our mission. We don't have to solve every problem. There are people out there living on nothing, solving the problems of the world. How can we, who have more access to resources, support what's already happening? We don't have to build everything. We don't have to create everything. We can support the people who are already doing the work and who do not have the access that we have. So I was like, right on. That's part of what I want to do. I said, but that's not what I asked you, baby. I said, I asked you what gives you passion. So the business that you say you want to build, the lucrative business that you say you want to build so that you can start generating the resources to support those things that you unite with, is the business idea that you're thinking of. Is this something that you're passionate about? Well, no. I said, then it ain't for you. Now you can do with that information what you want to do. But if you're talking about just building some business because you know it will be profitable, so that on the other end, you can, because the business that she's talking about becomes what? It becomes a burden. It becomes a means to an end to meet this thing that she wants to do, which is to contribute resources to these organizations and institutions that she supports. But she is placing her importance as a singular expression of the mother secondary to helping others. I reject that. You ain't gonna have me. You ain't gonna be out in the world telling no motherfucker that I told you to do that. Because that ain't what my mother's telling me. She is not telling me that women, especially Black women, need to be selfless. Oh, that is not what my mother is telling me. As a matter of fact, she's offended by the idea. Selflessness is a weapon used against us, primarily women. Selflessness is the thing that nulls us into complicity with our fucking exploitation and slavery. Selflessness becomes this word that becomes somehow synonymous with like the benevolence of the silent sufferer who wants to do good for others, even at her expense, thinking not of herself, but of others first. That's a lie straight out of hell. And it has nothing to do with my mother. It has nothing to do with my mother. Because we can look at the planet Earth and say, well, the Mother Earth is selfless. No, the fuck she is not. No, she ain't. No, she ain't. She is not selfless. That's not the lesson that she teaches us. She teaches us divine reciprocity that we happily engaged in for a long, long time. She has never taught us selflessness that she does for us at her own expense just because she loves us. That is not the lesson that she has ever taught us. She says, I give to you freely and I give to you abundantly, but bitch, you better be happy. Happiness is worship of her. Ecstasy is worship of her. Gratitude is the evidence of reverence and respect for her. It's the evidence that we love her. It is our offering of blood, sweat, and cheers when we collectively worked together to dig the earth and sow the seed and reap the benefits and share the proceeds with her and all of her other creatures. What did they say? That a percentage of every harvesting yield was given back to the mother's creatures. This is divine reciprocity. I will give to you freely. I will give to you abundantly. I will give to you beyond what you can even imagine, but I expect something in return. Selflessness is a patriarchal lie, a weapon used to siphon divine energy from women. So I had to tell this sister, I appreciate what you're saying, and I appreciate your ambition. I believe that her ambition is in alignment and in accordance with the mother's will. I do not believe her method for seeing the execution of that be that she engaged in some bullshit that she's not passionate about just because she knows it'll make her enough money. No. Find something equally lucrative for you to focus your energy on that does nothing but feed your ecstasy, feed your spirit, feed your joy, feed your bliss. And then the proceeds that you make from that contribute to those institutions that you unite with. Do you understand what I'm saying? I hope y'all hear me. Because I could have stopped there. She said, yeah, I want to make a lot of money so I can contribute to the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. So I can help specifically build the temple. That's what she said. The actual temple. The actual edifice of the temple. That's what she said. I said, I don't want it if you take on an occupation, a project that does not feed your spirit, that does not feed your flesh, that does not give you joy, that you don't wake up excited and ecstatic about every time you sit down to participate and facilitate in this process. I don't want it. The whole point of the reading was to find out for you what will feed your spirit, what will contribute to your the spirit of your lungs that want you to be happy in your motherfucking body, in your present, in your flesh, right now, all the time. And let that be the thing that generate abundance for you. Your ecstasy, your selfishness, your self-centeredness. Bitch, that's what I'm calling on y'all to be. Divinely and supremely selfish. Divinely and supremely self-centered. That's what I'm calling on each and every one of you to do if you are uterus holding humans. Yes. Feed your passion before you do anything for anyone else. Nurture your desires before you address the needs of anyone else. And those anyone else's, start to teach them gently that when you pour into me, because why? Because the mother's body is a divine orchestration that encompasses healing properties in everything that she does. What does that mean? It means that for thousands of years, in all the materia medicas of old, that every single one of female humans' bodily secretions were known to have healing powers and were the active constituents of most potions and healing remedies for upwards of 10,000 years. That's documented. That's not my opinion. Using the tears of women to heal wounds. Using the breast milk of women to heal the aging. Every secretion. What did they say about the Kemetic holy whores? What did they say? That it was a known fact throughout the known world that the ejaculate of the sacred harlot could cure blindness and leprosy. Is this a stretch? How was it that males were in the beginning able to become priests in the temples of the goddess? It was a known throughout all areas, Africa, Asia, Europe, that if a man wanted to reach epiphany in the same way that temple whores did, that the only way they could reach epiphany was to drink a concoction called ambrosia, whose some people called it soma, some people called it ambrosia, depending on where you was. But one of the primary ingredients of these trance-inducing formulas was menstrual blood. Y'all think that's far-fetched. Y'all think that's far reaching, don't you? But here it is a couple of thousand years later, and the Japanese discover that all of the wild and undifferentiating healing power and potential of stem cells are most present and most concentrated in menstrual blood that we toss away with revile. That if you want to be healed of all disease, they're saying extract the active constituent of menstrual blood, which is stem cells. The ancients said, drink a cup, especially if you can get a cup of the sacred holy horse, menstrual blood, and you too, male, who is a part of the mother's body, can reach epiphany, can descend into trance that is inherent in her very being. They say the bitch didn't even have to eat no herbs. She didn't have to take plant medicine. She didn't have to fucking drink soma or no shit. All she had to do was squat in the divine ceremonial position. All she had to do was cop a squat in the birthing position over the fissure, and the mother's divine vapors would enter into her goddamn uterus and send her into trance. Our body is magic. Our body is healing. And now science is, let me close this fucking door. And now science is proving what the ancients have always said, right? There was just an article that came out 2 months ago I talked to y'all about how they did a study, how they did research using both males and females, and they collected the tears. They would induce and collect the tears of males and females, and they discovered only in female humans a substance in the tears that could actually heal wounds and cure conditions. This was, Google it. Just a few months ago, this study came out. Just a few months ago. But here the ancients have been saying this since time immemorial. Yes, it's why they harvest our placentas. Morgan had a birth plan. We was going to take her placenta home. Do you know you cannot even request it? Do you think they throwing your placenta and your umbilical cord in the motherfucking garbage when they know? And now they have concrete evidence for these Japanese studies done 30 years ago that more, because there was all this controversy about the harvesting of aborted fetuses for the stem cell research, right? It was like, we can avoid the controversy. The Japanese done proved that there is more stem cells present in the umbilical cords of women, and the highest concentration of undifferentiated cells, stem cells, is in menstrual blood. So y'all look at me when I'm crazy when I say, well, the male priest had to drink menstrual blood to get to that point. Why are our bodies as females why do they no longer have the healing capacity that was recognized in the ancient world? Even as modern science is saying the tears have healing properties. The breast milk of a mother changes based on the exchange of information between her and her infant. When she's kissing her baby on the lips, and her saliva mixing with the baby's saliva is sending a message to the hypothalamus that says, change the breast milk because the baby is deficient. The baby is malnourished. Something's wrong with the baby. The baby's going to get sick. And the mother's breast milk will transform to be medicinal as well as nurturing based on the information that she receives from her baby's saliva. This is the magic that is our body. This is the magic that is our body. Do you understand what I'm telling you? This is why these motherfuckers held us hostage for 400 years and forced us to feed their children off our breast milk before our babies could have any access to it. Do you understand me? And so, what did I say though? It is the information that we receive through our flesh, our senses, that send feedback through the heart, and then the heart sends that information to the brain. Those synaptic activity connections that are being made in the brain based on this feedback that it's getting from the flesh, that changes our spirit, that changes our mind, that changes our behavior, that changes our emotions, then has an impact on our material self. It is a cyclical and simultaneous process that's happening. So if women's bodies are no longer healing, if women's bodies now, if our ejaculate is no longer healing people, but now sexually transmitted disease is ran rampant and has the most deadly impact on women, is it safe to say that the possibility is the impact, the biochemical impact of negative, unresolved emotions on our flesh have turned our bodies from healing mechanisms into mechanisms that are primarily sick? And that the only way for our flesh and our secretions to become healing secretions, healing mechanisms, able to induce trance and epiphany, is to address all the ways the patriarchal society has harmed women emotionally and spiritually and psychologically, so that our bodies can become whole again. Our bodies can be the microcosmic personification of the whole healing apparatus called our mother, called the earth. The mother provides from her body what is necessary to maintain homeostasis, harmony, balance. Our bodies, female portal holding humans, are designed exactly the same way. And she said from the beginning, I want you to see, remember, you are the medicine. You are the healing. You have everything within your flesh to heal, to make whole. Do not place your power outside yourself. Do not yield your power to your sons. Do not yield your power to something outside yourself. You understand? You understand? Anyway, there's so much more I could say. I could do this for a full 24 hours. Problem is, I ain't got no scribes. You understand what I'm saying? Problem is, I got to go to work. You understand what I'm saying? The last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to shut up. So we've had this long, radical, dynamic discussion leading us to the conclusion that the primary and most urgent assignment for us, and just because the assignment is ours, women, there was a simultaneous unspoken assignment that I'm going to speak now for everyone else, for all others, for gender fluid people, gender nonconforming people, for trans people, for men, for white people, for white women, y'all included. You understand? The simultaneous assignment in this assignment of the urgency of naming and renaming everything, right? The importance of naming and renaming everything is for those who stand emphatically to benefit from this, to benefit from the emerging of the one, to benefit from the reestablishment of the wholeness of the one, the wholeness of the mother, is to feed into what is required to sustain her. Just like, but in the opposing way. Just like I told you that the Sibyls were sustained and well kept and cared for and fed and all of that shit by the emperors, but not because they loved her, not because they had reverence for her, not because they loved the mother, not because of anything other than opportunism that was going to guarantee them access to more malignant expressions of power. I need to be next to this bitch who got access to the mother so I can plot, plan, and strategize my shit to dominate other groups of people. So yes, I will pay this bitch whatever she asking. I will build her the most elaborate, magnanimous temple of her imaginings, right? I will do all the things necessary so that the only thing that she has to focus on in her life is what is necessary for her to be next to the mother, so I can get the clearest message possible, but not because I give a fuck about either of them. It is so that I can siphon energy from the mother for my own, to my own device, and for my own benefit and gain at everyone else's expense. We have to do the opposite. We have to build the temples. We have to secure the conditions. We have to make sure that the optimal conditions exist for the mother to come through in full force. This is chaos the way she comes through with me now. It is chaos because I am unsupported. My foundation is not sturdy. My foundation is not certain. You understand? These emperors and shit made sure these bitches, even as they hated them, even as they envied them, we need all access. We will placate. We'll sing songs. We'll have festivals for. We'll make them happy. We'll tell them how powerful and wonderful. You are so divine and powerful. You're so wonderful. They won't act like they hate the Sibyls. We can't do that. We need them at their best. We need them at their most well kept. We need them to be fully supported. We need them to be happy in their life, happy in their body, happy in their flesh, untainted, secured from all the other bullshit we doing out here, so that they can give us the most honest, most divine, most powerful feedback. And we'll send male scribes in to sit at the feet of the Sibyls. And they too will feign reverence. Oh my God, this is amazing what she's saying. Oh my God, this is amazing. Oh my God. And then take what they have scripted and give it to some malignant motherfucker who will then take and make adjustments. Oh, this can't stay. We're going to have to scratch this off. We'll put this somewhere else so we can benefit from it, but everybody else can't see this. Okay, we'll change that. We'll change that name. We'll switch up the characters, change that position. Yeah, let's say this story happened exactly the opposite, like that. You feel me? Yeah, okay. Do you think this is something that happened in a weekend retreat? These motherfuckers were fully invested in murdering the mother. And they did whatever it took. Bitch, if we got to play nice with these bitches, if we got to feed them and bathe them and make them bring them flowers and shit and tell them how beautiful they, we'll do whatever the fuck it takes. We'll do whatever the fuck it takes. Because in the end, we gonna win. So we'll do all this little bullshit now. We'll hold festivals for the Sibyls. You understand? We'll pay them top dollar and talk about how, we'll sing songs about how wonderful they are. But we have a clear vision in mind. Give us all you got. Tell us everything the mother said. Because we ain't got shit. We can't write our own books. They say it. We ain't write our own books. It was the Sibylline books that gave rise to the Sibylline oracles, which was a complete defilement of the Sibylline books by the Hebrew people, by the Levitical Jews, who were at war with the Romans for access to the shit, so they could do their version of the same text. So that's what we calling on. That's what we calling on. But we're calling on it from love. See, what they did was out of hatred for the mother and a consolidation of absolute power. What we're saying is we want to see the whole made well, the restoration of divine harmony on earth. The strategy has to be the same, though. The strategy has to be the same. Those who you have identified among yourselves as obviously divinely inspired, connected, and spoken through, to say, we have to create the process that secures their ability to channel, to be functional, happy, blissful conduits of the mother in real time to ensure her inevitable emergence. And the quicker we can do that, the quicker we can end our suffering. The more we feed them, the more we pour into them, we are made well by virtue of proximity to them. Just like you're made ill by proximity to God the Father. Just like you are made ill in proximity to patriarchy. Just like you are made ill in your proximity to the white guy, Father God, mythological guy in the sky, and can't figure out why your ass is insane. She, in your accepted proximity to her, feeding of her, tithing to her, pouring into her, singing to her, writing songs about her, writing stories about her, writing great epics about her, writing philosophy about her. will make you well. Because the bottom line is the cult of the mother is has always been a life affirming, life giving, life supporting, life adorning cult. And we have subscribed and given life, limb, blood, sweat, and tears to one that professes to be the head of a death cult. Jesus Christ is the greatest cult leader to ever exist on earth. And you accept that his murder and death is the evidence of his divine nature. We literally have, and what feeds a death deity more than anything? More death. That's why wars are necessary in a Christo-fascist state. That's why wars are necessary and given divine quality in an Islamic state. That's why death is an essential necessity in a murder cult like Judaism that taught God's chosen people in the Old Testament for 5,000 years, that genocide is acceptable when you are chosen. Genocide is charged as your responsibility when I make a divine promise to you that this is your land and you must destroy everybody that exists on it before your ass can post the fuck up on it. That is replete throughout the entire Old Testament. God's chosen, executing bloody genocidal ritual to feed the father image of their death cult. And to consecrate the legitimacy of the necessity for continuous unending bloodshed for salvation, then they propose that God himself is not going to tell you to do something he's not willing to send his own son to do. So he becomes his son and forcefully impregnates a 16-year-old virgin to bust out of her goddamn uterus only to be murdered on a cross, to show you for certain that all of this shit that you've been doing in terms of murder and brigandage is a necessary component for salvation. The blood of Christ is a necessary component of salvation. But the blood that you are baptized in by your mother is life-giving blood. The blood that you are rebaptized in, reborn in Jesus, covered in the blood of Jesus, is the symbolic consecration of your death, of your mental death, of your spiritual death. And once you are mentally dead and spiritually dead, there is no crime you won't commit and then call it divinely inspired. Once you are baptized in the blood of Jesus, you have entered into a death cult that requires more blood for salvation. Has the bloodshed ever ended under Abrahamic religions? Has the bloodshed ever ended? Has it ever even ebbed? Have there been epic periods of 20, 50, 100 years of peace since the emergence of patriarchy on the scene? Has there? No. Because the essence of a blood cult, of a murder cult, of a death cult is the constant attachment through a spiritual IV system of the feeding of this maniac through the murder and sacrifice of others. It has to be unending. It has to be unending. And to concretely imprint it on your consciousness and in your mind. He said, look, I'm going to send my only son. It's actually me, but I'm going to send my only son. And y'all are going to murder him because that's what I have divined for you to do, is to murder him so that it can forever imprint in your mind that the only way to be divine under the umbrella of a death cult is to shed and spill blood. You have to remember that all the time. Well, Jesus died too. Martyrdom becomes a sacred act in a murder cult. Self-sacrifice becomes ordained as a divine necessity in a death cult. Because that's not what your mother teaches you. Martyrdom, self-sacrifice, subjugation, slavery, these are all the holy sacraments of a death cult. These are the divinely established sacraments of a death cult, of a murder cult. And your mother didn't teach you that. Your mother didn't teach you that. In no place, in nowhere in the whole of human history did any goddess worshiping society, was any goddess worshiping society told you must bear your cross, you must carry your burden, that the evidence that you love me is how willing you are to experience pain and suffering. Never. She said, if you want to know what it is to worship me, engage in ceremonial, orgiastic rites of divine orgasm, and there I will be. I will be in the midst of you, engaged in experiencing me through one another. There I will be. When you are around the fire and break into what seems spontaneous song and dance and damn near lose your mind in the ecstasy of the moment, of the now, of the present, among the many, that you share something that emanates from yourself and is contagious among the group. There is where I will be, to feed you all as you feed me. She is fed from our ecstasy. She is emboldened through our bliss. She is enlarged by our capacity to love genuinely. Because that's what it means to be the child who is the Godhead of ultimate life, of ultimate experience, of ultimate living, of what it means to live our fullest, most whole, complete self within her. She feeds her what we give her in return, but we haven't been feeding her. We've been spending millennia in lament and sadness and grief and woe. And every time we experience those things, we weaken her. We sadden her, just like your mama. With your own mama. When you get hurt, your mother is sad. Your mother's like, oh my God, my baby. And it is only when you start laughing again and she knows you well that she is strengthened, that she is invigorated. And her whole life is spent revolving around you to ensure your happiness, because she feeds you the conditions to ensure your happiness, and your happiness in response feeds and invigorates her. So that's what I'm saying you have to do for us. That for the mother to reemerge, the mother is not going to reemerge from out there, some the fuck where. She is going to reemerge from the bodies of her daughters. That is where she is going to reemerge. She is going to reemerge from the bodies of her daughters. And then with her ecstatic worship, with her explosive birth on the scene, she will infect everyone on earth, every one of her children, every one of the creatures that too are her children, every plant, every rock, every stone, every water way. She will spread when she reemerges in us. She will spread. Unlike in the fucking Bible, she will spread in the blink of an eye, like an angel of life, as opposed to this angel of death, of the Father God that killed all the firstborn in the kingdom. Greetings, Lamanan. Thank you for the donation. Thank you for the contribution. For those of you who are tuning in through IG and you feeling what I'm saying and it's moving your spirit, because I can't do this for y'all as I can for the people who are tuning in from YouTube and Facebook. If you want to make a shout out in the form of a contribution, then you can send your contribution to my Zelle, which is at releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. My Cashapp, which is $DaughterOfTheFates. My Venmo, which is Cassandra-Floyd. I say take a screenshot while I'm holding it up. And my PayPal is at Iapo Ngina. So for those of you who are tuning in through YouTube and Facebook, this information that I'm holding up is also scrolling across the bottom of the screen in the banner. Okay. So that's what's been coming down all week. The urgency of naming and renaming everything. That this is how they started their trek in the subduing of the mother. This is how we have to reestablish her supremacy, her reign on earth. Right now, now that we know, now that we have the information, we have to name and rename everything. The most optimal way for that to happen is for us to generate and create spaces where African women and other portal holding humans, and so I will make this disclaimer. I'll make this disclaimer. Some of y'all will be upset about it. I don't fucking care. I will make this disclaimer. Those of you who no longer identify as women, but were born female, born with uteruses, you too can be included in this process that I am talking about. Yep. So the only males that will be able, let me not say males, the only men that will be able to be included in this process are those who were born with uteruses. Those who were born with uteruses. It doesn't mean that you have to currently have a uterus. There are many crones. There are many people who have been sick who no longer have possession of their physical uterus. You still have the divine access to the divine portal that connects you to heaven. You understand? So this is the project. This is the process. You understand? It's our job to name and rename everything. It is the job of those who were not born with uteruses to support, pour into, raise up, contribute to, scribe for, well, not scribe for. The scribes are going to be female too. Cover, support, pour into, show love to, show reverence to. Those of us engaged in the process of turning the world right side up. That's your role in the process of turning the world right side up, is to support those with the direct power and potential to do that. That's it. That's what it is. You understand? Just like them emperors who hated us, didn't give a fuck about us, understood that if they did what was necessary to support those women in that moment, they would get everything from them that they needed. So it was like, fuck it, there ain't no thing. Let me go ahead and show this little monetary support, create this little temple or this little whatever she need to get up in there, to get next to the mother. I just need access to the information. It's an investment for me. Because I know I will come out on the other side victorious if I have direct access to this information. So I'll do what it'll be an investment. I'll pour into what she needs to sustain her. Now we have to do the equal and opposing opposite. Do the thing, support, build the temples, do all of those things, but do it out of reference. Do it out of genuine love. Do it out of respect. Do it for the sake of the whole. Do it because you say you love humanity and you want to see an end to the suffering of everyone on earth. Do the support the mother from that perspective. That if false support of the mother gave them access to put them ahead, true support of the mother can do the same for us, but in a way that is healing and not centered in death cult shit. I can't make it no plainer than that. You can resist it. You cannot agree. I am telling you, this is biblical. what I'm telling you, what I'm teaching you. This is divinely delivered. You could accept it for a mythological Moses, accept it from me. You could accept it coming from a mythological Elijah, that he was divinely inspired, divinely visited, swept into heaven. Accept it from me. Accept it from me. That's all I got to say about that. Oh, this is not the last thing I got. I know. This is homework for me, though. This is studying for me, because I'll go back and watch this about 100 times. The last thing I will say, the importance of naming and renaming everything is replete through history. The urgency of the moment is replete through history. Understanding that before a thought can become a thing, it must be spoken and named. Holy fuck. Hold on. Whoa. Before a thought can become a thing, it must be known. It must be spoken. It must be named to become a material force impactful on earth. This is the process and the urgency of naming and renaming everything. This is the charge. This is what we must do. This is what we must do. We must use the power of our divine throat chakra emanating, springing the fuck up from our heart informed by our divine uterus, the lower palace. Our heart is informed by the uterus. Y'all don't want to hear that. Y'all don't want to hear that. You understand what I'm saying? So that we can speak the future into existence right now. That is the urgency of naming and renaming everything. And so if you are exhausting your divine ashe, thank you so much for the donation, Elevate. I want you to hear this. If you are exhausting, wasting, spilling negligently the divine essence, which is the ashe that emanates from your divine body, on the repeating of everything that patriarchy has built for itself to strengthen itself and to prop itself up in the epoch of the expression of malignant, unbound, unbridled power, you are feeding the Godhead of the death cult. You are feeding. You are using your divine voice, your divine essence, your divine ashe to feed a malignant motherfucker set on murder. Because murder is what feeds the Godhead of a death cult. Despair, fear, agony, suffering, pain, woe is what he thrives on. And if he thrives on it, then it is essential that he continue to create and generate it. It's essential for him to create the conditions that ensure its longevity: murder, death, fear, suffering, pain, woe, sadness, grief. He is made fat, his fucking gluttonous self, on our suffering. This informs us of how we too can use, now that we know now that the synaptic activity have made these multiplicity of connections in our consciousness that can change our behavior in the material world and allow us to manifest all the potential of the God of the universe, of the Black primordial she that is mother to us all, who is set only on our ecstasy, set only on our happiness. She is emboldened that by that which gives us joy, that which makes us complete, that which feeds our body, feeds our spirit, feeds our ecstasy. Do you understand me? Do you understand? And so we have to now express, use, channel, take control of our divine ashe, to speak life into the world, to speak life into the world, and simultaneously bury the malignant bastard that is the figurehead of the murder cult. Our joy is what will destroy him. Our ecstasy is what will subdue him. Our radical fucking orgasmic ecstasy is what will guarantee his demise. That's why he can't afford for us to have it. That's why he removes color from our life. That's why he infects songs that could have a medicinal and healing impact with negative vibration to ensure despair, to ensure sickness, to ensure suffering, to ensure mania. He has infected every aspect of our life. But now that we know, we can take back that which is ours, our divine self, our memory that we are not alone, that we are not separate from her, that we are her. Every last one of us, male, female, all the genders in between, all the races, elders and youth alike. We are all her. Mommy and I are one. I am my mother's son. I am my mother's daughter. I am my mother's child. What she represents as unbridled potential and power, I too represent as the microcosm to her macro. I am my mother. Mommy and I are one. And within me and within every last one of us, whether we remember or not is not the issue. It's there, waiting to make a scene, that within each of us is all the power of the entire universe. And so to name and rename everything and recognize the urgency of the project is to go back to your ugly ass Bible or Torah or whatever the fuck. What's that other one? Or the Quran or whatever. I'm talking cash shit. I'm talking cash shit because I mean what I say. I'm talking cash shit because I mean what I say. Go back to each of them. What is in these mythologies of man before woman, of woman being born from the rib of a man? What is the first and most important power bestowed on Adam upon his creation in these mythologies? Somebody tell me. Somebody tell me. What is the first power bestowed on Adam upon his creation? I'm not asking you a hard question. Somebody better tell me. Thank you, Mother Phoenix Vision. The first power bestowed on Adam by this, God damn it, by this mythological megalomaniac murdering to and fro, the first power bestowed on Adam was to name everything in the garden. This is in the first 2 pages of your Bible. This is a part of the mythological creation process that is really detailed. The Bible is detailing the birth of patriarchy. That's what the Bible is doing. It's detailing astrologically the birth of patriarchy. And to consecrate its birth, In the first couple of chapters, God said to consecrate that you too, Adam, as my creation, embodying the consolidated power of heaven in this microcosm that is man, who we created in our own image. You too are now gifted the power to name everything. Not just the animals. The Bible said he named everything. He named everything. That's not the only story that expresses profoundly the power of naming everything. What about this? What about the Song of Solomon? The story of Solomon and how he was able to create one of the greatest kingdoms that ever existed. And you know, Solomon was a mythological character too. But just for the sake of the story, say that motherfucker was real, right? Solomon, the reason Solomon was supposedly so divine is because when he prayed to God and God was like, what you want? Ask me for anything you want, because Solomon was good in God's eye. He loved Solomon. And as I look, tell me whatever your heart desires, tell me what it is. And Solomon said, I want to have all the wisdom. I want to be wise. And moved by this declaration, this request, when he could have had anything in the world, right? God said, you know what? Now I love you for that, man. Not only am I going to give you all the wisdom, I'm gonna give you all the loot too. You're gonna have the greatest kingdom. You're gonna have the greatest kingdom that ever existed. You understand? And there's a story about Solomon and how he built this greatest kingdom and how he entered into relationships with others to increase his power through wisdom, right? That Solomon had a magical ring, right? And this ring, I forget the exact way it happened. I'm gonna have to study this so I can do a whole presentation on it. But the Cliff's Notes version is that this ring gave him control of the elements. Now, the Bible says demons, but we know now that the etymology of demons is a reference to the elemental principles: air, earth, wind, water, and fire. And if you look at images, if you Google images of Solomon's ring, it looks like my earrings. It's a 5-point star. So that's the evidence that what the Bible called demons was actually elemental forces. And he had the ring, which gave him the power. But what was the other dynamic? The only way that he could control the demon / element was to know its name. To possess is to know the element's name, to know the demon's name was to possess the power of the demon, was to possess the power of the element. And they say that he learned the name of all, the true name of all that is, and used the power of the demon / element of the demon to build his sacred temples. Isn't that what the book say? Isn't that what the book say? Is to know the true name of a phenomenon, to know its true essence, to know its true self, is to garner the power of that element, of that phenomenon. This is the urgency of naming and renaming everything through the perspective, through the work, through the DNA, through the memory, through the history of the mother. Because everything that we think we know through the lens and the worldview of a megalomaniacal father Godhead who is set on murder and destruction to feed himself. Now we have to flip the fucking script back. That's the work. The work for the many of you is to support this fucking mission that is urgent. Unless you want to see a repetition and a degradation into worse with this bullshit being presented to us in real time as some kind of solution to the way forward, when I just spent 5 fucking hours telling you that this process that we have been engaged in is a de-evolutionary process that has been meant since day one for 6,000 years to stay evolution, to put the lid on our evolutionary emergence, to make sure that the mother never rises again. That's what it's for. Everything that it constructs, everything that it builds, everything that it creates is to ensure the certainty that death will remain supreme so it can stay fed, and the mother never again regains power over that which she created. So you can keep putting your motherfucking faith in these fucking voting polls if you want to. You will be feeding the Godhead of the greatest and most destructive entity on earth in the human epoch in existence. You walking like a zombie into these motherfucking voting polls, convinced in your spirit it is some kind of solution to what ails you, you will be contributing your life force in essence to feed a malignant, bloodthirsty, power drunk monster. That's what's going to happen. I have said it on this day, 7/20/2024. The vote happens in 3 months. And the same month that the vote happens is what I told y'all and have been telling y'all for 3 years. That the final meeting, it is no accident. It is no coincidence that this day that y'all are dreading and equally looking forward to, the day that you can rush to the feet of the Father, the day that you can rush to the institutions generated by the Father, to go and express your discontent to the Father who created and generated your discontent in the first place, thinking that all you have to do is make a plea, a silent plea in a secret box called the voting booth, and he will be one somehow magically to hear your position and answer your prayer. That's what you're going to do in November. And it is no accident. It is no coincidence. It is epic, phenomenal, divine timing that same month that you are going to lay your life on this little piece of paper with a box that you are certain is going to impact your life in a positive way. That same month, for the first time in a very long time, right, in 246 years, but while simultaneously concretizing the simultaneous completion and beginning of a new 25,000 year period called the Great Year that's happening at the same time in November. So while you out here with this bullshit talking about the vote is what's going to save your life, that our lives depend on the vote, all of heaven is conspiring to end your suffering, and you are ignoring this power potential. Because the same month that these malignant motherfuckers made sure that this time in history and this vote in history was going to correspond with this period that could guarantee you the radical transformation of the world, that you would be sidetracked with that so you could be up in these motherfucking booths voting for fucking patriarchy again, voting for white power again, voting for malignant power in the hands of the sun again, laying your faith at the feet of a malignant son gone astray who has murdered his mother. That's what you're going to do in November when you go to that poll. At the same time that for the first time in 25,000 years, and most importantly, for the first time since the birth of America in 246 years, our mother, Oya, is going to rescue her son. Because see, I always told you, you understand, that Aquarius and Pluto meeting on November 19th of 2024 represented this dance that would be unfolding between this married couple according to Ifa mythology, right? That whenever you see Oya and Shango together in pictures, it is of them as a couple, as a power couple, two war gods going together into battle. She carrying lightning in her hand and the winds of change in her skirt, and Shango carrying the labors, the double-edged axe, and controlling thunder to go into war to ensure justice. They are revolutionaries, Shango and Oya, right? But I just told you this story of how Oya ensured that Shango became his God self at the moment that he submitted to the mother's will and slayed his ego to become God. This is happening November 19th, when Pluto, as our mother Oya, meets her son again for the first time in many, many eons. Shango, Aquarius, November 19, and they become one again. Mother and I are one. To rule over us for the next 20 years, to set the stage for the next 25,000 years. This is what is happening in real time while you out here crying and lamenting and woeing and debating malignant, unhealthy motherfuckers who have not yet understood that they are a part of the body of God, with all the potential of the body of God to wreak havoc on that which has attempted to destroy her, to set the stage and clean the slate for her reemergence. That's what you have done. And I am telling you right now today, do not give your power, do not give your energy, do not give your voice, do not give the power of your ashe to anything that is attempting to lead you astray with madness. Don't give your energy to the shit. We have a world to create, and our mother is giving us every weapon and tool we need to ensure it so. This is where we need to be focusing our energy. The importance of naming and renaming everything will give us the confidence and the audacity to do that, to ensure that. This is the period. Now, there ain't nothing else out there even feigning to give you hope, feigning to give you confidence, feigning to give you certainty of what is to come, what is to unfold. Everything, every institution, every spiritual institution, every religious institution, every school, every goddamn theology, everything that exists right now is emboldening the dying Father God. This bitch is on his deathbed. This bitch is on his deathbed. And as he is taking his gasping for air, clinging on the life breaths, we are using our energy to attempt to resuscitate the bitch. That's what we doing. We crying tears, we screaming, we uncertain, we fearful, we scared. We talking about we got to get out of the country, as if there is anywhere you can escape to on earth that is not impacted by goddamn patriarchy. Is there somewhere on earth that is a divine, harmonious utopia in a sea of madness? Tell me where that is, because I'll go too. Everybody, all these people who love me so much, all my friends and family who love me so much, especially my friends and family that live outside of the country, calling me all the time, especially since we entered into this year leading up to this goddamn election. Cassandra, you sure you want to stay in LA? I mean, shit seems so deep in America right now. That shit is insane. Listen, if you decide you need to get out of America on a whim, I got a couch for you. I got a couch for you in Sweden. I got a room for you in goddamn in Germany. I got a place for you in Zimbabwe. When I tell you I got people close to me scattered all over the planet. And when I tell you I do not feel the urgency to leave. My mother, when I got to California and I was visiting, I have no intention of living in California. She said to me clearly, now the thing that I have charged you to do, and the bigness of that thing that I have charged you to do, that if you are going to set this shit off, this is the place you need to be. This is why I called you here. This is why I used your grandmother to woo you here. This is where you need be to set this shit off. I still have not, and LA got its issues. LA got his problems, but I have not for a single moment, a single day at all since I have been here, almost 7 years now, even wavered in my certainty of why I am here. Not once. Not once. So while I accept these invitations coming from all over the known world, scared for my safety because this bitch is seemingly crumbling apart at the seams over here in America. You feel me? Honey, I am certain. And I'm trying to tell y'all I am certain. I'm confident, arrogant in my certainty, audacious in my certainty. Man, we gonna have to do the work to take this shit. We gonna to, and this, the work is simple right now. I just told you what it is. It is the naming and renaming of everything. It is heeding the mother's call through the imaging in our own mind, through the necessary exorcism of our unquestioning belief in everything that is. Our unquestioning belief in everything that is. It is why we continue to call our most sacred orgasmic center the G-spot. We yield our innate power to a white boy whose first name starts with the letter G. My G-spot, my G-spot. Unquestioning yielding of our power, turning over of our power to our understanding of all phenomena that exist right now in real time, fed to us ritualistically, scientifically, philosophically, theologically, culturally, socially, through the lens, the understanding, and the worldview of those who obey the will based on their supremacy and proximity to the God of their creation and their imagination. That's what we have done. We have accepted their definition of what is, of everything that is. We have collectively accepted the definition of the name of everything that is, that name given to everything that is by a son gone rogue, by a son gone awry, by a son wreaking havoc on his mother's body. That's what we have done. We collectively, as humanity, as a singular one, have yielded all of our inherent power to the name taught to us by our malignant son. That's what we have done. Every time we speak a name given to us, repetitiously given to us, ritualistically, we give power to it. That's what the story of Solomon is about. It is Solomon who knows the true name of all that is. Therefore, he controls the power and the nature of all that is. And when he alone knows the true name, he can give you a false name that feeds his project, that emboldens, that enlarges, that widens his reach of that which he has created for his benefit at your expense. That's what we have done. That's what that indigenous man was complaining about when we went on that barefoot doctoring trail walk. And this white person that's teaching the barefoot doctoring class is telling us the English and Latin name of every single plant that we encountered. And the indigenous brother was like, I have a question. He was like, we in California, right? And the person was like, yeah. And he was like, well, do you not know any of the native names of the plants, any of the indigenous names of the plants, which exist, these names that existed for 25,000 years before y'all gave the plants new names based on your worldview, based on your understanding? Can we know the indigenous names? He understood it. That here we are on native land and we don't know the name of a single phenomenon that exists on this continent. We don't know its true name. We do not know its native name. We do not know its ancestral name. Therefore, we collectively give supreme validity to an alien name and an alien understanding. You understand? So they were prolific in the project. You got to give them that. They was prolific. Because just like Adam, they took that shit literally. When they set out on the colonial process, seeding through their little ships, territories around the world with this new emerging consciousness called the colonial project, they didn't just come over here and say, we discovered some Indians. They didn't do that. When they posted up on here and they started massacring everybody, this blood ritual to secure the colonial project, to baptize in blood the colonial project, they also had monks over here. They also had scribes over here. They also had scientists over here. So while the soldiers was doing the murdering, the ritualistic murdering, the scribes and the monks were writing all the time. What's this plant? What the natives call that? Scratch that off. Let's call it this. I just told a story to a friend of mine about the plant, the passion flower. I love this plant. It's so beautiful and so mysterious looking. Gorgeous plant, right? It's most prolific in South America, South and Central America, the passion flower. I love this plant, right? I have since I was a little girl. I love this plant. And I saw this whole beautiful wall of passion flower one day when I went to a client's house. And I was recalling the story about how the plant came to be called the passion flower. The passion flower, because y'all remember me telling y'all I study etymology a lot, right? It informs everything that I do. And so I was telling y'all that I was offended by the word compassion. I hate it. Didn't know why I hated it. It just always rubbed me the wrong way. Like, why people running for office always be talking about compassion? That shit used to piss me off. And people were like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What you got against compassion? I was like, I don't know. But something it irritates my motherfucking inner demons is what it does. I don't know the reason. I don't have any explanation for the reason. But I was running this woman's mayoral bid in LA, and I combed through her website. And I was like, you got compassion on your website like 13 times. Like, if you had it one time, I'd be like, all right, let that shit slide. I was like, but on your whole website, you got like 13 mentions of the word compassion on your website. I said, so you should know before I take on this campaign, I'm overhauling your entire website and I'm striking compassion from it. And she was like, why would you do that? I said, explain to me why you use it. Well, we need compassionate leadership. Who are you appealing to when you're talking about needing compassionate leadership? Who are you talking to? Who are you appealing to? Are you appealing to those that are in power? Well, no, I'm talking to the constituents. And you think what they need is compassion. You think the average working class person or poor person in the city of LA who is suffering, barely able to pay rent, that the thing on their mind all day, every day is, I sure wish I had some compassionate leadership. I sure wish I had a mayor that had some compassion for me. Do you think even with a poor person or a homeless person or a working class person who only got a third grade understanding, who only went to the third grade, do you think that person, when they think about politics and their world and their life and the impact of this shit on their life, do you think that the first thing in their mind, even the 10th thing on their mind, is, I sure wish I had some compassionate leadership. I sure wish our mayor was compassionate. I wish the police force was compassionate. She was like, well, I guess since you put it that way, no. Well, what would you say? I said, the first thing is you have to have a platform that includes a total destruction, a total into, a culture of, what did I say? A culture of political betrayal. That's what people think about, even if they got a third grade understanding. I'm tired of being betrayed by politicians that I yield power to. My vote is supposed to represent my power and my representation in the world. And every time I give my vote to one of these motherfuckers for a promise they make out they slick tongue ass mouth, I end up betrayed. So the first platform on your new platform, the first new point on your new platform is my campaign is going to strive to end the malignant culture of political betrayal that has been the history of leadership in LA. She was like, wow, that's powerful. Ain't nobody interested in compassion. I ain't interested in it. You feel me? I could go on, but the reason I brought that up is I was like, okay, why do I have such a visceral response when I hear the word compassion? So I went home and I was like, what's the etymology of the word compassion? Child, when I tell you I trust me, I didn't have to have no information about the essence or the origin of this fucking word. I know how the word is used everywhere. And every time it made my jaws clench and my rage seethe. Every time. So I was like, well, maybe I should be able to articulate my opposition to this word. So I came right home after this meeting with this woman. What is the etymology of the word compassion? The origination of the use of both words, compassion and passion, were at the supposed death of Christ. The word nowhere in no language existed before the supposed crucifixion. That compassion means, etymologically, compassion means to take up one's suffering as your own. That's what it means. It doesn't mean extend love, or however it's being used to disseminate love and understanding to your fellow man. That is not what it means. The word compassion literally means, this is verbatim, literally means to take up one's suffering as your own. To take up one's suffering as your own. To suffer with. Come means with. Passion means to suffer. I'm not making this up. Passion means to suffer. What is Mary Daly always saying when she calls words labors? How they have two opposing meanings because of how they are used in patriarchy to manipulate humans. The word passion that we use to express like a lust for, a need for, a drawing to the opposite sex that we may be attracted to, or an idea or a desire that we may wish for. We're passionate about. I'm passionate about music. I'm passionate about this boo I'm trying to get next to. That word has been changed. The essence, the knowing of the true name of the word has not changed. The power that is yielded from the true word's meaning is still having the same impact. You are told that the word means something opposite of what it means. So every time you discuss what you think is some good feeling, passion is a good feeling. Passion is something that you want. Passion is something that is supposed to explain like a drive to something else, a drawing to something else. Its original name, its true name, its true meaning, its true essence literally means to suffer. That's what passion means. Passion came into the human lexicon specifically because of the crucifixion, to describe the crucifixion, to describe this love that Jesus had so much for humanity that he was willing to give his life in a brutal ritualistic murder as evidence of his love for humanity, of his taking on the suffering of humanity into himself. And so in exchange for this sacrifice of himself that he made for you, you too must suffer for him. Passion means to suffer. Compassion means to suffer with, to take up one's suffering as if it is your own. That's what it means. And so when I, who love this flower, was researching how the flower came to be known as the passion flower, I'm thinking, oh, it's such a beautiful flower that it must have represented passionate love or something. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm deducing before I understand the meaning of the word passion. And let me tell you the story of how the flower became known as the passion flower, first seen in Brazil during the age of conquest. When the Spaniards came, when the Spanish and the Portuguese came to the Americas, and the Christian monks saw the flower and how beautiful it was, right? And the color, which is Christ's color. What did I tell you? What is Christ's color? What's Christ's color? Somebody tell me. This is me. This is your pop quiz as your teacher. Somebody tell me what I just told you a few days ago the color of Christ is. I ain't going no further till one of y'all tell me what the color. Thank you, Solitaire Wisdom. Thank you, Solitaire Wisdom. Christ's color is purple. What did I say? That the opposing red and blue is a representation. Red of God's chosen people and blue of the Gentiles. And Jesus unifying these two opposing forces represents the coming together of the church under Christ, and his color becomes purple. Why? Because purple is the unification of red and blue. So the passion flower is purple. And so these Catholic monks in the age of conquest who came over here with murderers, what were the murderers? Were they really murderers? The soldiers and shit, they weren't murderers. They were the divine disseminators of pain and suffering required for Gentiles to achieve salvation. Yes, they are. What are police? What is the police? What's the police? The police are not murderers within the context of the death cult. The police aren't murderers within the context of the death cult led by Jesus Christ. The police are the divinely ordained disseminators of necessary pain and suffering that must be issued onto the, quote, heathen Gentile folk who are outside the proximity of the God of their imagination in order for them to achieve salvation. Pain and suffering is synonymous with salvation in a death cult. And you in a death cult that has as one of its divine pillars asceticism, sadomasochism, and martyrdom as the three pillars, as the three necessary pillars of a death cult: asceticism, martyrdom, and sadomasochism. And if pain and suffering is the primary divine sacrament within a death cult, then the reason that one of the foundational pillars of the death cult is sadomasochism is because masochism requires the acceptance, the divine acceptance, the blind, unchallenged acceptance of the need to receive pain and suffering for salvation. But if pain and suffering is necessary for salvation, then there has to be someone responsible for the disseminating of said pain and suffering. And if pain and suffering is a necessary requirement of a death cult, and you have to have both the recipient of the pain and suffering and the administrator of pain and suffering, then both must be divine acts. Both must be divine acts in the death cult. The receiving of pain and suffering is a divine act, and the disseminating, the administering of pain and suffering too, is divine in the death cult. So when these conquistadors, these divinely ordained administrators, disseminators of pain and suffering, that that they white father God tells them that the heathens who are outside the sight of God need to receive in order to experience salvation. And then their corresponding monks and shit are writing everything down, scripting. This is holy ritual that happened. Genocide is holy ritual in a death cult. Genocide is holy ritual. So why did they need the monks to come? Why did they need the monks, the priests? Why did they need the monks to come with the conquistadors? Their sole job in the colonial process, in the early stages of the colonial process, was to write down all things that happened. They were observers of the holy ritual. They were observers. They were there to detail and write in great detail, draw pictures in great detail of this holy ritual, executed through papal bulls, handed down by the Pope himself as papal bulls. For his divinely ordained, blessed the ships to seed this new colonial project, to at the same time, while seeding the birth of the new colonial project, baptizing the altar for its seeding, for its birthing, for its creation in the blood of those who were the natural inhabitants and keepers of the land. Their blood seeded the colonial project, fed the colonial project. Do you understand me? And those monks were there to observe the entire ritual in full time and in real detail. And so they see the passion flower, and it represents the color of their Lord and Savior. But something peculiar about the passion flower. The passion flower, if you look deep, it has 5 pistons that emerge from it. 5 pistons that are golden. Okay? Gold representing the Father of their great God in heaven. So here is his son, the purple of the flower. Here are the 5 pistons, the color of the divine color of the God in heaven. You feel me? The streets paved with gold, the gates of gold. You understand? And all of that shit. And because the number 5 is very important in Christian theology, they said this flower is so beautiful, and here it is. It's the color of the both personifications of our Lord and Savior, the great God in heaven, and his divine Son, the purple, and it is the color, and it is the color or whatever. You feel me? They said, we're going to call this flower reminds us of our religion, of the supremacy of our religion, of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and his divine ever-present Father, our great God in heaven. So we will scratch off what the indigenous people been calling the flower for a millennia. We gonna call it the passion flower, representing the passion of our Christ, our Savior, Lord Jesus Christ. That's how the name of the flower came to be. That was a long way to tell y'all that story, but these stories that I'm telling you are so important, I promise. Because that particular story details the urgency of naming and renaming everything. It wasn't just that they saw the flower and it was pretty. The renaming of that flower happened in real time within the context of a colonial process / unholy ritual ordained as a blood sacrificial ritual to ensure the thriving and the survival of the new seed being sown as Christ in the new world. Genocide under the patriarchy, anywhere on earth, anywhere it presents itself, is a ritual of unholy proportion under under a death cult ordained by that death cult. That's what it is. That's what is unfolding in real time right there in the Middle East. And y'all call it everything but what the fuck it obviously is. I haven't heard one person yet in the discussion, not one person, call what is happening in the Middle East a holy war. I haven't. Because if you keep it super political, if you keep it super scientific, you can evade and ignore the very real spiritual contest unfolding in the Middle East. You call it genocide, you reduce the significance of what is driving that suicide. What is driving that suicide is a fucking understanding implanted in the consciousness and in the flesh of one group, that everything that they do, no matter how gruesome and violent it may appear to the outside world, that ain't got shit to do with us. We know what our God told us, and our God told us it is our divinely ordained right to lay waste to lay waste to everyone that is not us. That this land was promised to us, and we must do whatever it takes to ensure the completion of this divinely ordained project by our Father, who is the head of our death cult. That's why it's not a sin. That is why it is not a crime for genocide to occur. That's why genocide is never discussed as a spiritual contradiction, as a spiritual contest. Because to call it a spiritual contest, any genocide, anywhere, to call it a spiritual contest between the principalities of the dying Father God and the inevitable emerging mother is to see it for what it truly is. Because the evidence of whose side that you are witnessing in the unfolding of this contest will help you to understand that the reason that these people are fighting with such fervor, what do you see them doing? Dancing in the street, doing little cartoons and cracking jokes, doing comedy shows about why they're supposed to be invading these people, murdering the Palestinians. It is woven in their very culture, right? What did they do? They just had the biggest gay pride celebration on earth in Israel at the height of a goddamn unfolding genocide. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. We saw, 300 women go out to the West Bank to do yoga. Israelis to do yoga in the midst while observing genocide right across the way. They are confident because their God has told them for quite some time. Bloodshed isn't just necessary. Bloodshed isn't a sin for y'all, because y'all the chosen ones, right? Bloodshed is not only not a sin, it is a necessary, ongoing requirement to feed me, the death cult, the God of your death cult, the head of your death cult. That's why they can be at peace in their spirit, baby. They sleep well, even in the midst of witnessing real-time genocide. They can sleep well because they are confident that their Father God has not only ordained them, but has consecrated as a holy act genocide, murder, brigandage. That's what he has done. That's why police officers sleep well at night after murdering children, after gunning down the innocent, because there is a collective, accepted, unchallenged belief among us all of the divine status of the police force. They are divinely ordained to protect one group who has closer proximity to the Father God, and to be the disseminators at the same time of the necessary pain and suffering of those who are furthest from their proximity to their Father God. They are divinely ordained to do both, to protect and to preserve, to protect and serve those who represent the Father God in the material world, and to disseminate pain and suffering, punishment, terror on those who the furthest representation from the Father God, and they are divinely ordained to do both. That's why they can sleep all right at night. That's why they are not plagued by images of those they harm. I'm just giving you a word today. So, I told y'all I could go on, but now I have to go speak again somewhere else because I have a workshop to teach. But I think God and gave y'all the goods. Okay, so I'm gonna end this transmission, and I am going to tell you that today is Saturday. So what I will do, since I promised, and tomorrow is the official full moon anyway, for 2 hours and 2 hours only. I will not be talking to you. The only thing I will be doing is a read for you guys. So if you don't want to pay, I will still encourage you to pay to get yourself a full reading with me, a 1 hour reading or 30-minute reading. But even outside of that, for 2 hours tomorrow, what I'm going to do, this is going to be for tomorrow. So that's why it says $11 a question. I'm going to put 11.11. I'm going to put 11.11. So for $11.11 for tomorrow only, for 2 hours, you ask a question, I will pull one card for you, and that will be your reading for the full moon. So this is why I'm calling it full moon reading, right? So these are the methods. Even after we end this transmission, if you want to send a contribution to the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, you can make that contribution at my Zelle, which is releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. The Cashapp is $.Daughter-of-the-Fates. The Venmo is Cassandra-Floyd. And the PayPal is at Iapo Ngina. Okay, so you can make those contributions anytime. If you are interested in getting a complete reading, I would encourage you to do that, especially for the energy of the full moon that we are in, right? So the day is half over, but I will be set up the rest of the day. After the reading in the morning, after the live reading in the morning, I will be set up the rest of the day, all the way up through the evening, to offer readings, complete readings for the full moon. The full moon, if you want to know, depending upon what time zone you're in, peaks at 6:17 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 6:17 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the morning. So if you want to get a read, while I'm tapped in the way that I am, come on the live tomorrow. I'm probably going to start the live at around 10 a.m. I'll let you know. I'll go ahead and post the alert today. But come on, I'm going to be on for 2 hours. I will pull a card. You can pay $11.11. It's $11.11 donation for one question. You can ask up to 3 questions, right? So $11.11 per question, and each individual can ask up to 3 questions. We'll do that tomorrow. And that's how we'll kick off our full moon energy, because here we are. It's September. It's July 20th. There's a lot of big dates coming down the pike that we need to be preparing for. This full moon is an ample opportunity to kick off that preparation. July 31st is National Orgasm Day. I celebrate it. I do spiritual ceremony on National Orgasm Day. I sure do. I pray for the health and the sanity of the whole on that day. And as a part of that ritual, I am multi-orgasmic. Yes, I am. I am channeling the power of my desires through my orgasm all day that day. Yes, I am. Sholan. The next big day that we all acknowledge, which is the 8/8 portal, also known as the Lion's Gate portal. That's coming up very soon, right? The 8/8 portal, also known as the Lion's Gate portal, channeling, calling in all of the divine, powerful potential of the regal Leo, of the regal lion that owns our heart, the crossroads between heaven and earth, our lower chakras and our higher chakras meeting together, all the potential and power of the both, of heaven and earth, meeting together at the heart, the Lion's Gate portal, to embolden us, to give us supreme wisdom, to give us divine leadership, to give us the courage to face any opposition that threatens the whole. That's what the 8-8 portal is about. Guess what else happens on this divine day known as the 8-8 portal? The 8-8 portal, August 8th, is International Female Orgasm Day. So you motherfucking witches with uteruses, you motherfucking witches with uteruses, the 8-8 portal is also International Female Orgasm Day. And yes, I did. As soon as I learned this information, which was last year, was the first time I ever did it. Yes, I did. I was extremely methodical, just as if I was going to court a lover. What you do the first time this boo you've been macking on, you've been giving the signs, you've been giving the hints, you know what I'm saying? Y'all been going out on dates, you've been batting your eyes, you've been wearing your extra sexy dress that don't show too much cleavage, but just enough that's to be subtly inviting. All these little gestures that you make, all these little overt and not so overt suggestions and efforts and demonstrations that you make. So when it comes time for you to consummate this new union, the you and he, or the you and her, right? The first time y'all go to make love, you don't just go to your house and jump in the bed, do you? No, you don't. You make sure that the mood is right, that the music selection is perfect. You've been plotting and scheming on this shit, as a matter of fact. You would have made a whole playlist to prepare for the first time you get some booty, or for the first time you let that dude hit, if you're really into him. You feel me? So you got a playlist, you understand, of perfectly timed music that's going to enhance the mood. You feel me? And you might have some flowers in the place, and you done cleaned up your crib extra nice, and you got your little negligee out, so that as soon as y'all get to the crib, you say, let me go to the bathroom and freshen up. You clean off your little body parts because y'all went dancing all night. You're freshen up. You feel me? You got your perfectly selected perfume. You feel me? You come out in this cute little whatever the fuck. There's flowers. There's candles. This is ceremony. This is a ritual that you engaged in. This is a ritual you are engaged in. These things you do, these steps you take to ensure that the first time you consummate this new union, that it is divinely perfect. You feel me? Well, I didn't have a boo last year. You understand? I had been celibate for a year last year at the 8-8 portal. You understand? Do you think that I was going to allow the power, potential, the creative manifestation potential of the 8-8 portal that I just found out too is Global Female Orgasm Day go by without an orgasm? But I didn't just masturbate. That's not enough. The same care, the same deliberate process I would have gone to if I had been courting a man, if I had been courting a lover into my room, was the same process I went through that day that I decided that before I do anything, because immediately after my day of orgasm, oh yes, I see what I said. Immediately after, the next day, I drove to the desert and did ayahuasca for 3 days. Sure did. But as soon as I found out that this was a power up day that was centered around my uterus, my portal, I said it would have been nice if I'd have had a boo to engage in the process, but that ain't going to stop my flow. Let me pull out these candles and place them around my bed in my bedroom. Let me be deliberate about what I am thinking about what I am focusing on. Let me say my mantras before I lay into bed, and to bring myself to spiritual orgasmic ecstasy to put extra oomph and power on my conspiracies. And I had about 16 orgasms that day, and I'm not exaggerating. I had about 16 orgasms that day. I made it my mission to come as often as I got. When I tell you I didn't do nothing else, I got up to eat, got up to pee, went right back to bed, got another orgasm. And I did that. So now you know, you tailor it how you want to. But I approached the lover in me with the same tenderness, the same care, the same deliberate action as I approach any external lover. I took myself on a date that night. I took myself dancing that night. I sure did. I courted and wooed the goddess in me. That's what I did. And I made sure she was well taken care of in the process. I sure did. I sure did. Now, that's the last thing I'm going to say. I love you all. I appreciate your donations, your contributions. Somebody said something that was long, so let me just go read. The justification of pain and suffering under white supremacist colonialism has become part of mainstream history. I hope the truth continues to be unveiled. Thank you so much for your words. I need readings from you. So, Sotlock, I hope I'm not pronouncing that wrong. Sotlock. My email address for those who want to get a reading, especially if you want to try to get a reading tomorrow during the full moon, because we will be in the phase, we will be in the energy of the full moon today, tomorrow. We started yesterday, but today, the peak is tomorrow, and for 48 hours after that. So 6:17 a.m. Tuesday is when you are within this prime energy of the full moon. So if you want to book a reading for either tomorrow, Monday, or Tuesday to get the best of what Mother has to impart to you through the reading, through the divination, then you can request a reading through emailing me at releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. And I will give you the details on booking the reading. And then as soon as we consolidate that, I'll send you a Zoom link for your reading. Okay. All right. So now I have to go. This was fun. This was so necessary for me. So necessary for me. It was so impactful. So many epiphanies came through that I have to now like sit with and organize in a way that doesn't look like divinatory scribble scrabble. You feel me? But this was really, really, really impactful. It really was. This was exciting for me. This was exciting for me. And this is how I want it to be all the time. This was really exciting for me. So somebody sent a contribution. So let's see who did that. Oh, thank you so much, Yvonda. Love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you for everybody that contributed. If you contributed via Zelle, I don't get notifications. So thank you. I will send you a shout out later. I will write those down and send you a shout out later. Tomorrow, I'm going to go ahead and say from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is when I will do the live tarot readings. For 1111, for an 1111 donation, you can get one question answered. I will pull one card for you. We'll do this quick. Okay, so you ask your question, I give you a response, I talk to you about it, tell you if there's something that you need to do in response to your question. We'll move on to the next question. Throughout this process, so everybody can get a turn who wants a turn to ask a question, we'll limit the questions to 3 questions per person. So that's 1111 per question. But you can ask up to 3 questions, okay? So I will do that from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. tomorrow. And then after that, if anybody wants a reading, I will leave the rest of the day open so that I can do full reads. Those full reads are either 30 minutes or 1 hour, okay? To book a reading over the next phase of this full moon in particular, you want to book your reading between now and 6:17 a.m. on Tuesday, okay? You want a reading? Email me at releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. And until tomorrow, I will see you later. I will bid you adieu. I hope that something that I have said today fed you, caused galactic, cosmic, synaptic connections that will transform your behavior for the better. And until then, I'll see you tomorrow.